Chapter 880. The wizard Tribulation grinned. He didn't move, but a huge pressure fell on the two people, making them pale in an instant. Realizing the gap in strength between them and the wizard Tribulation, they didn't even have the intention to resist. Fear filled their eyes. One of them asked in a trembling voice, "Who are you? Why are you capturing us?" The wizard Tribulation didn't answer. His pair of ghostly eyes looked at them with uncertainty, making the two people feel more and more uneasy. After a while, the wizard Tribulation said coldly, "I have something to ask you. You can choose to answer or not, but if you can't satisfy me, I will strip your souls and search your memories. If you don't want to suffer the pain of having your soul devoured, you'd better cooperate." The pain of having one's soul devoured. The two transcendent cultivators trembled, and their faces turned pale with fear. Their strength wasn't low, so they naturally knew what kind of torture the soul devoured was. It was a pain that the soul couldn't bear. Generally, only the most evil cultivator would use such means to torture. The person in front of them had a green aura and ghostly eyes. At first glance, they knew he wasn't a good person. They nodded hurriedly. "Ask us, if there's anything we know, we'll answer." The wizard Tribulation smiled, showing satisfaction. He then said calmly, "Do you know where this place is?" The two cultivators looked at each other and nodded at the same time. One of them said, "This should be 9 Heavens Holy Land, right?" "Yes, it is 9 Heavens Holy Land." "You have guts, you know it's 9 Heavens Holy Land and you still dare to wander outside." The wizard Tribulation raised his eyebrows. "Tell me, what are you doing here?" The person on the left quickly replied, "We are looking for an artifact." "Looking for an artifact?" The wizard Tribulation smiled strangely. "Looking for one outside?" "Yes." "Who told you there was an artifact outside?" "Many people have been spreading such rumors." The man quickly explained. After listening to him, Yang Kai understood. He didn't know who had spread this rumor, but it was said that in a great war a few years ago, countless cultivators from 9 Heavens Holy Land had died. These dead cultivators had dropped many artifacts nearby, attracting many people to try their luck here to see if they could find one or two valuable treasures. There are many people outside, all looking for artifacts. The wizard Tribulation asked with a frown. Some of them seem to be here to kill a monster beast. I heard that there are many 6th order and 7th order monster beast here from the Beast Sea jungle. Those monster beasts have good artifact refining materials." The other person also quickly said, "It seems that some of them are here to kill the devil dwellers. I heard that the new Holy Master of 9 Heavens Holy Land has accepted a group of demons here. They want to clean up these demons and restore order, with just the few of you." The wizard Tribulation looked at them like they were fools and said contemptuously, "Since you heard there are demons here, haven't you heard what kind of strength they have? The news said that there aren't many masters among those demons, only a few transcendent realm cultivators. Haha." The wizard Tribulation laughed strangely and nodded, "Not many masters. There really aren't many, only 5. But those were 5 Saint Realm masters, 3 of whom were 2nd Order Saint." The wizard Tribulation had witnessed the battle between Li Rong and Xue Li and knew that with the ancient demon clan's strength, it was not something 1 or 2 great sects could deal with. If they wanted to clean them up, they would need at least 3 or 4 great forces on the same level as Soaring Heaven sect, and they would also need to be prepared to suffer huge losses. If these clowns wanted to clear out the demons, they were simply courting death. After asking a few more questions and confirming that these two didn't have much information, the wizard Tribulation knocked them out again. Standing up and looking at Yang Kai, the wizard Tribulation frowned and said, "Holy Master, it seems that someone has deliberately spread some unfavorable news in order to guide these cultivators to 9 Heavens Holy Land." Yang Kai nodded, not knowing why, but suddenly remembering the human race master named Wu Zheng he had met before. If someone hadn't taken the lead in spreading such news, it would have been impossible to deceive so many people. On top of that, the person who spread such news had to have a certain level of prestige, otherwise, such obvious lies would have been easily exposed. Wu Zheng obviously had such ability. What is this person trying to do? He knows that these people can't do anything to the Holy Land. Shu Hui looked puzzled. Some people don't want Li Rong and the others to stay in Nine Heavens' Holy Land. Yang Kai snorted, they don't want to see us become close to the demon race, they think it's a disgrace to the human race. Wizard Tribulation's eyes narrowed, seemingly thinking of something, raising his brow and asking, Holy Master, what Master means is that this person is inciting these cultivators to come to Nine Heavens' Holy Land in an attempt to lure you into taking action. That should be the case, Yang Kai nodded. Once they take action, no matter who it is, they can frame Li Rong and the others. At that time, that person can use this as an excuse to lead the world's masters to attack Li Rong and the others. If Li Rong and the others are attacked, I can't just sit back and watch. Once I intervene, the Holy Land will also be involved. When that time comes, the Holy Land will become an enemy of the entire world, making it difficult for the Holy Land to survive. So insidious. Shu Hui's expression changed. Yen, it is indeed a bit despicable and vicious. Wizard Tribulation pondered, if it were any other great force, with so many cultivators wandering around their doorstep, they would definitely try to drive them out. Wizard believes that among those people, there must be some hidden pawns who are responsible for fanning the flames, waiting for you to make a move to drive them out. Yang Kai glanced over at him and chuckled. Wizard Tribulation's words had hit the nail on the head. Holy Master, how should we deal with this matter? Shu Hui asked. Although the situation wasn't bad yet, if they continued to wait, it was likely more cultivators would be deceived into leaving the Holy Land. This situation needed to be nipped in the bud as soon as possible. However, Nine Heavens' Holy Land had just shown signs of stable development. If they really got into a conflict with too many great forces, it would definitely have an impact on its future. Especially now that Yang Kai hadn't fully matured yet. What does Great Elder think? Yang Kai looked at him, wanting to ask for his opinion. Shu Hui respectfully said, Subordinate thinks we should tell the truth of the matter to those cultivators who have been deceived here and have them withdraw on their own. The artifacts scattered outside the Holy Land aren't real. If there really was such a thing, wouldn't my Holy Land have picked them up? If they can't find them, they will gradually leave. On top of that, the monster race has already retreated to the Beast Sea jungle. If they really have the courage to hunt a monster beast, they can go to monster race territory on their own. There is no need for them to linger outside the Holy Land. As for those cultivators who came to clean up the demons, we can deny the existence of Master Li and the others. In any case, no one can enter the 9 peaks to investigate. Master Li's people are all honest and won't go out. After this storm passes, everything should be fine. Shu Hui didn't want to make a big fuss, something Yang Kai could see. After pondering for a while, Yang Kai nodded, then let's do as Great Elder says. You take some people to disperse those cultivators wandering outside the Holy Land. However, we can't be so easygoing. If we are too easygoing, they will think the Holy Land is too weak. Yen, we need to let them know what the consequences of disobedience are. After all, if they trespass into my Holy Land's territory, we can kill them without question. What Holy Master says is right. Shu Hui nodded. In the past, if these people dared to wander outside the Holy Land at will, Shu Hui would have already sent them away. How could he waste his time talking nonsense with them? If they refused to comply, he would kill them directly. But now the Holy Land was no longer the same as before, so he had to act cautiously. Let's do this. Give them a 3-day deadline to withdraw from the Holy Land. If they dare to remain after the deadline, they must be trying to stir up trouble. For such people, kill them directly. Yang Kai ordered. Yes, subordinate will do so. Shu Hui nodded and immediately withdrew, taking the 2 cultivator Wizard Tribulation with him. Li Rong's beautiful eyes flashed brilliantly as she stared at Yang Kai with a smile on her face. She suddenly found that after not seeing him for several years, Yang Kai was becoming more and more like a leader. When he was captured by Coffin Slave Senior and brought to Demon God Citadel, he was just a cautious young man, but now he was able to make appropriate decisions based on the situation. This was something Li Rong very much hoped to see, secretly believing that the ancient demon clan would be able to obtain a bright future under his leadership. Holy Master, this wizard will take his leave. There are still many things to be dealt with in the sect. If Holy Master has time, you are welcome to visit my Netherworld sect at any time. The wizard bid farewell and turned to leave. Sect Master Wizard, there's no need to hurry. Yang Kai stood up. Is there something else, Holy Master? Wizard Tribulation asked curiously. I want to see Shattering Mystical Palace and War Spirit Temple. Please lead the way, Sect Master Wizard. I am willing to serve. Wizard Tribulation smiled lightly. Li Rong, come with me. Yang Kai turned around and beckoned. Li Rong gently nodded and stepped forward. Walking out of the hall, the three turned into streaks of light and left Nine Heavens' holy land like lightning. There were originally 4 great forces in the vicinity, but now only Nine Heavens' holy land and Netherworld sect remained. These 4 great forces were not too far from each other, only 100 to 200 kilometers apart. For the current Yang Kai, such a distance would not take long to cross, not to mention Li Rong was currently using her Yuan Qi to carry him. In just a short while, the 3 of them arrived at the mountain range, above a group of buildings. This is War Spirit Temple. Among our 3 great forces, it is the closest to Nine Heavens' holy land and has benefited a lot from the 9 peaks. Unfortunately, Cao Guan was short-sighted and ruined such a great foundation. Wizard Tribulation pointed down and said. Yang Kai nodded and looked down. The buildings below were like chess pieces, arranged in a picturesque disarray. Many of them had collapsed, and in some places, red blood could be seen. It was likely that some time ago, Wizard Tribulation had gathered the disciples of War Spirit Temple and caused some trouble. Chapter 881. After looking around for a while, Yang Kai suddenly exclaimed, "There's still people here?" Among the buildings of War Spirit Temple, a small number of cultivators were walking around, looking around, seemingly looking for something. Oh, those are my Netherworld sect's disciples. They're here with the original disciples of War Spirit Temple to see if there's anything they can use, Wizard Tribulation explained with a smile. Yang Kai nodded and pointed down. I want this place. After Sect Master Wizard returns, make sure the disciples don't destroy it. Yes. Wizard Tribulation quickly responded. Although he didn't know what Yang Kai wanted to do with such an abandoned property, he didn't ask. Speaking less and doing more, this was why Wizard Tribulation was better at judging the situation than Zhong Ao and Cao Guan. Let's go take a look at Shattering Mystical Palace. There was nothing special down there, so Yang Kai immediately waved his hand. Wizard Tribulation once again led the way. A moment later, nearly 200 kilometers away, the trio arrived above Shattering Mystical Palace. This is Zhong Ao's territory, Wizard Tribulation pointed down. Compared to War Spirit Temple and my Netherworld sect, this place is much better. Yang Kai observed indifferently and found that this place was indeed good. Although it wasn't as good as the Holy Land's 9 peaks, it was still a rare place. Shattering Mystical Palace's establishment here was not without reason. Holy Master, this one still has some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. After waiting for a while, Wizard Tribulation suddenly said. Good, Sect Master Wizard, do as you please, Yang Kai nodded. After saying his goodbyes, Wizard Tribulation quickly left. Looking at his disappearing back, Li Rong pursed her lips and chuckled. Although this guy looks a bit gloomy and vicious, he's actually quite a good person. But why is he in such a hurry to leave? It's as if we're going to do something bad to him. Because he knows what I'm going to do next. Yang Kai chuckled. He doesn't want to see too many secrets, so naturally he wants to leave quickly. Li Rong was stunned. Let's go down and take a look. Yang Kai's figure flickered and flew straight down. Shattering Mystical Palace occupied a very large area, and behind this sect master, Yang Kai and Li Rong landed in a stone forest filled with stone pillars of varying heights, giving them a disorderly appearance. Li Rong, where is the blood essence stone? Yang Kai turned his head and asked. It's still with me, Li Rong replied, taking out the blood essence stone and handing it over. Last time, the blood essence stone had absorbed a lot of fresh blood and transformed it into blood qi, but after using it to heal the ancient demon clansmen, this blood qi had been completely exhausted. At this moment, there was no trace of energy fluctuations coming from the blood essence stone. Holding the blood essence stone, Yang Kai looked around. Master, what are you looking for? Li Rong observed for a while before asking thoughtfully. I'm looking for the entrance to Star Field. Yang Kai replied. The entrance to Star Field? Li Rong's expression became solemn as she suddenly recalled the words Zhong Ao had said before his death a few months ago, immediately understanding, Master means to say that the entrance to Starfield is hidden here? Yang Kai nodded. I was able to peer into some of Zhong Ao's memories. He really did pick up this blood essence stone in this stone forest, but I don't know the exact location. You should also help me look around and see if there is anything special about this place, especially if there are some strange ores here. Does Master really think that we can enter Starfield? After all, it's just a legend. What do you think? Yang Kai chuckled. I don't know. Li Rong slowly shook her head. Since I was born, I've been living in Demon God Citadel, never even seeing the sun, moon, or stars. It wasn't until a few months ago that I left that place, let alone a Starfield, but I always felt that it was unrealistic. Why? Yang Kai was surprised. Because even the most powerful masters can only fly 10,000 meters up in the sky, any higher and they are powerless. This continent seems to have some kind of invisible suction force that keeps people from leaving. No one has ever successfully left this place, so how could anyone possibly enter Starfield? All those things about Starfield should be just legends, right? Yang Kai didn't say much, simply grinning. Let's look around. If we can find it, I'll take you to see it. Li Rong's beautiful eyes lit up, feeling that Yang Kai didn't seem to be joking, immediately nodding. Good. The two of them immediately split up and searched carefully in the stone forest. This stone forest should be considered Shattering Mystical Palace's restricted area. Because Yang Kai sensed the fluctuations of many barriers here, all of which were connected to extremely insidious traps. Once triggered, it was very likely to cause a lot of trouble. These barriers should have been set up by Zhong Ao. However, under Yang Kai's powerful divine sense, these hidden barriers couldn't be hidden, so he didn't need to worry about touching them. After a stick of incense worth of time, Yang Kai, who hadn't found anything, frowned and looked around. Just as he was at a loss for what to do, Li Rong's voice suddenly called out. Startled, Yang Kai quickly flew over. A moment later, Yang Kai arrived in front of Li Rong. Master, there's something strange here. Li Rong pointed to a few stone pillars of different lengths in front of them and said, also, I found these things nearby. Saying so, she handed over the stones in her hand. Yang Kai took them and carefully observed them, his eyes lighting up as he confidently said, it should be here. The stones Li Rong had picked up looked a bit like products from Starfield, and the shape and arrangement of these stone pillars was somewhat similar to the vague memory he had of Zhong Ao. But there's nothing special about this place. Li Rong was puzzled. If it was possible to see through them at a glance, Zhong Ao wouldn't have inadvertently discovered the mystery here, Yang Kai said as he stepped forward and patted the stone pillars. They didn't look any different from the nearby stone pillars, but compared to them, these stone pillars were quite hard. Yang Kai didn't know what kind of material they were made of, but it was definitely not ordinary stone. Carefully recalling the scenes he had seen in Zhong Ao's memory, Yang Kai stretched out his hand and flicked a few strands of pure yuan qi into the nearby stone pillars. His true essence disappeared as soon as it appeared, as if it had been swallowed up by these stone pillars. Yang Kai waited quietly for a moment, but there was still no reaction from the stone pillars. Just as he was getting impatient, a buzzing sound suddenly came. Yang Kai immediately jumped back and stood next to Li Rong, closely watching the front. Wang, Wang. The stone pillars trembled as if there was a large, invisible hand holding them and shaking them, causing the ground to show signs of instability. Ripples visible to the naked eye radiated from the stone pillars and spread in all directions like shockwaves. Countless ripples collided in the middle of those stone pillars, and some unexpected changes took place. The space in the middle of the stone pillars seemed to have become a mirror, reflecting the fluctuations of the ripples. With a crash, when the ripples were concentrated to a certain extent, the mirror suddenly shattered, and a dark and deep hole suddenly appeared in front of Yang Kai and Li Rong, like a ferocious beast opening its mouth. Li Rong couldn't help but feel her scalp go numb. Yang Kai, on the other hand, was excited. He felt a special aura from this hole, the aura of Starfield. Let's go. Without hesitation, Yang Kai pulled Li Rong and dove in. In the next moment, a huge pressure surged towards Yang Kai from all directions like a tidal wave. Yang Kai's bones creaked and his physique tightened as he tried his best to resist this destructive force. Li Rong also cried out in surprise. The moment she felt the power, she immediately used the demon god transformation. Mysterious demon patterns climbed up her beautiful face, giving her a wild beauty. "Don't be nervous." Yang Kai chuckled and comforted her. Li Rong's beautiful face reddened, and only then did she gradually relax. Her beautiful eyes looked around, and she couldn't help but cover her mouth. Surrounded by countless stars, it was a beautiful sight to behold. Floating in the void, there was no ground beneath her feet, so when she looked down, she couldn't see anything but the stars. It was as if she was no longer in Tongxian realm. "Is this the star field?" Li Rong asked in surprise. "Ian, isn't it wonderful?" Yang Kai nodded lightly, bearing the huge force of star field. His expression relaxed. "Looking at Master's appearance, it seems you've been to Starfield before." "I've been here once. It was in the Starfield that I was able to break through to the transcendent realm." Li Rong's beautiful eyes couldn't help trembling. From Yang Kai's words, she caught a glimpse of something unusual. When her master first came here, he was only a peak immortal ascension boundary cultivator. How had he been able to withstand this terrifying force of Starfield? Li Rong thought that if she didn't use her demon god transformation, she would feel some pressure here. This kind of pressure was enough to shatter anyone's bones, not something a peak immortal ascension boundary cultivator could withstand. "But the last time I came here, it doesn't seem to be this place," Yang Kai looked around and said with certainty. The last time he came here, he had been standing on a blue planet. According to Zhai Yarrow, that was Tongxian realm. However, this place didn't have that kind of scenery, so he didn't know where he had been teleported to after passing through the stone forest. Looking back, behind him was the void corridor leading to the stone forest. Yang Kai didn't know how long it would last, but judging from the aura fluctuations inside, it should be able to last for a few days. Yang Kai's heart settled and he waved his hand. "Come with me." Li Rong quickly followed, maintaining her demon god transformation as she looked around. The legendary Starfield was a place few people could set foot in, so Li Rong was naturally very curious about it. The two of them released their divine senses, covering a radius of 100 kilometers, investigating all movements within this area. "What is Master looking for?" After following Yang Kai aimlessly for a long time, Li Rong asked. "I'm looking for some meteorites." Yang Kai explained. The meteorites in the Starfield seem to contain many rare minerals and strange stones. "Since we've come here, let's see if there are any unexpected gains. Perhaps we can find something as precious as a blood essence stone." After knowing what they were looking for, Li Rong also began searching diligently. Chapter 882. In the Starfield, there were many meteorites shuttling back and forth, but no one knew where they came from, let alone where they would go. It seemed that since ancient times, they had been drifting through the Starfield, waiting to be discovered. Yang Kai even suspected that Tongxian realm itself was a huge meteorite. After searching the Starfield for 1 or 2 hours with Li Rong, Yang Kai found several meteorites of different sizes. Some were as small as wash basins while others were as big as mountains. After smashing these meteorites, Yang Kai really harvested some rare ores, but there weren't many of them and their grade wasn't too high. The main reason he came to the Starfield this time was to verify that the information in Zhong Ao's memory wasn't wrong. However, since he had already arrived here, he naturally couldn't return empty-handed. It just so happened that the ores in the Black Book space had been exhausted, so he could take this opportunity to collect some more. Yang Kai wanted to know what kind of changes would occur to the 2 pitch-black round stones after they absorbed enough mineral essence. "Master, there seems to be a large meteorite flying over there." Li Rong's divine sense detected some movement and pointed to the distance. "Let's go take a look." Yang Kai immediately flew over. Not long after, a meteorite the size of a house flew toward them. Its surface was full of bumps and hollows. It seemed that it had been eroded by the passage of time and could not bear the weight. Li Rong met it head-on, and before the meteorite could approach, she struck it with her palm. A shocking power burst forth from her jade-like hands, and the huge meteorite directly shattered into countless pieces, splattering in all directions. Yang Kai's eyes were sharp and his hands moved quickly, immediately focusing on one of the dark red stones and rushing over to stop it. After inspecting it, he was satisfied and put it into the black book space, placing it next to the two pitch-black round stones. Inside these meteorites, there were many rare ores, and these ores were hard and difficult to destroy. Therefore, breaking these meteorites was undoubtedly the most convenient and fastest way to find them. Li Rong also collected 1 to 2 and flew to Yang Kai and gave them to him. Is Master collecting these things to refine an artifact? Li Rong asked with a smile. Although he couldn't name most of the ores he collected in the starfield, judging from their texture, they were at least spirit-grade ores, and many of them were even saint-grade materials. An artifact refined from such a material would naturally not be of poor quality. When Li Rong saw Yang Kai working so hard to collect them, she naturally thought he was going to refine an artifact. Sort of. Yang Kai didn't bother to explain. While he was observing, his expression suddenly changed and he looked to the side in surprise. Stars twinkled in the sky. A few dozen kilometers away from the two of them, there seemed to be a number of small black dots that were rapidly passing by. An asteroid, see? After looking around for a while, Yang Kai was overjoyed and called out to Li Rong before immediately flying over. Not long after, the scene of a large number of meteorites gathered together appeared before the two of them. These meteorites were like a great river, stretching for an unknown number of kilometers as they flowed through the vast star field. Inside this asteroid sea, there were countless meteorites of varying sizes, creating a spectacular scene. They sped through the starry sky without making a sound. It was extremely strange. So many meteorites. Li Rong also looked at this scene in surprise. Yang Kai laughed and said, "Now we don't need to look around." Saying so, he flew into the asteroid sea. Li Rong pursed her lips and smiled before hurriedly following. The two of them released the power in their bodies and wantonly destroyed the asteroid sea. Strangely enough, in the starfield, it seemed that sound couldn't be transmitted and the two of them could only communicate with one another through their divine sense. Even when they destroyed the meteorites, they didn't make any sound. Pieces of ores of various sizes were collected by Yang Kai into the black book space. These ores were all extremely rare and precious on Tongxian realm. If any artifact refiner were to see this scene, they would likely go crazy. Outstanding artifact refiners, in order to find rare ores, would sometimes travel thousands of miles, but even so, it would be difficult to find the ores and materials they wanted. However, in this starfield, there were countless ores that could be easily obtained. Such a shocking amount of wealth could only be obtained by Yang Kai. Li Rong also seemed to be infected by Yang Kai's joy, a smile constantly plastered on her pretty face as she busied herself. Most of these meteorites didn't have anything inside them, and after they were smashed apart, only a small amount of debris would fly out, but there were simply too many meteorites in this asteroid sea. Even if the probability was very low, after a few hours, Yang Kai and Li Rong's harvest was huge. Shuttling through the dense meteorites, Yang Kai and Li Rong leisurely strolled about. Gradually, the endless meteorite sea seemed to have come to an end, and was about to pass by in front of his eyes. That should be enough, Yang Kai said, preparing to stop. In any case, the door to the starfield was inside Shattering Mystical Palace, so if they wanted to come to the starfield in the future, they could do so at any time. There was no need to constantly collect ores here. Li Rong nodded, taking the last piece of ore in her hand and flying over to Yang Kai's side. At that moment, Yang Kai suddenly felt a subtle energy fluctuation coming from somewhere in the asteroid sea. This energy fluctuation didn't seem to be coming from a mineral and couldn't help attracting Yang Kai's attention. Gazing in that direction, a faint ray of light entered his eyes. Yang Kai's brow furrowed as his figure flickered and disappeared, reappearing near this light in the next moment. After seeing what was emitting this light, his expression couldn't help becoming strange. Reaching out and picking it up, Yang Kai returned to Li Rong's side. "What did Master find?" Li Rong asked curiously. "This." Yang Kai handed over the thing he found in the asteroid sea. Li Rong took it and carefully examined it, a look of surprise appearing on her face as she exclaimed, "This is an artifact?" The thing he found in the asteroid sea was about the size of a palm and had a sleek overall shape, like a long shuttle, with two sharp ends and a flat rounded middle, and a mysterious energy fluctuation pulsing from it. However, it seemed that because it had been here for so long, this energy fluctuation was somewhat faint, almost to the point of dissipating. I also think it's an artifact. Yang Kai's expression became dignified as he stared at the asteroid sea that was gradually disappearing into the distance, his brow furrowed. But, how could there be an artifact here? Li Rong felt this was inconceivable. Starfield was a legendary territory that no one had ever set foot in, let alone explored. This time, if not for the void corridor in Shattering Mystical Palace, she and Yang Kai would never have been able to reach this place. However, there was actually such an artifact in the Starfield's asteroid sea. The profound meaning behind it was truly intriguing. If there is an artifact, it means there is a cultivator. Perhaps someone has already explored this Starfield before, Yang Kai quickly said. That's impossible, right? Li Rong covered her mouth and exclaimed, even Great Demon God only yearned for this place in the past, he never managed to explore it. What if there is someone even more powerful than Great Demon God? Yang Kai said faintly. Li Rong's beautiful face went pale as she was shocked speechless. Great Demon God was known as the #1 master in this world since ancient times. No one had ever surpassed him. What kind of level would someone more powerful than Great Demon God possess? Li Rong couldn't even begin to imagine. Yang Kai took a deep breath and said, I was just speaking casually, you don't need to think too much about it. However, judging from the energy fluctuations from this artifact, it is indeed quite old. Even if there was such a person, I'm afraid they are no longer in this world. Li Rong relaxed a lot, letting out a sigh of relief before handing the long shuttle-shaped artifact back to Yang Kai. Yang Kai swept it with his divine sense but couldn't find any information about it, so he couldn't help asking, can you tell what grade it is? Li Rong shook her head, I can't tell, there is some kind of strange power hidden inside it. Although it is on the verge of dissipating, it is still resisting my probing. Master should take it back and study it carefully, it would be best if he could figure out what it is. Yang Kai nodded and put away the long shuttle-shaped artifact, preparing to refine it once he returned. He only had one artifact on him right now, and that was the silver leaf artifact. This was something the previous Holy Master of Nine Heavens Holy Land had owned and was a saint-grade high-rank artifact with infinite uses, both offensive and defensive. Refining this long shuttle-shaped artifact wasn't a big deal. An average cultivator would have at least 2 or 3 artifacts on them, those with noble backgrounds would have even more. Speaking of artifacts, Yang Kai suddenly thought of something and asked, you and Han Fei don't have any good artifacts, right? Li Rong smiled. Originally, the ancient demon clan had some artifacts, and none of them were low grade, but they were all lost with the passing of our ancestors. On top of that, our ancient demon clan's greatest asset is our bodies, so when we fight, it doesn't matter if we don't have an artifact. That being said, having an artifact is still a good thing, at least it might be useful. Saying so, Yang Kai took out a number of different artifacts from the black book space and handed them to Li Rong. Take these back and let Han Fei, Hua Mo, and the others choose the ones suitable for them to refine. So many. And all of them saint-grade. Li Rong looked surprised. Saint-grade artifacts were rare, and each one of them was priceless. Every Saint Realm powerhouse in the continent wished to possess a Saint-grade artifact, but not everyone could obtain such a thing. Most Saint Realm experts still used Spirit-grade secret treasures. Saint-grade artifacts were the same as pills, the materials required to refine them were not easy to find. The most important thing was that there were not many artifact refiners who could refine Saint-grade artifact. Even if they could, there was still a chance of failure. Although the famous Saint-grade artifact refiners of the continent were respected and revered, each one of them had a full schedule because there were many people begging them to refine Saint-grade artifacts. Why was the world's #1 alchemist, the old man of Heaven's Keep, so elusive? It was because there were too many people who wanted to ask him for alchemy. If he didn't hide his whereabouts, he would be annoyed to death by these people, so how could he have the time to teach his disciples? Chapter 883. However, Yang Kai had actually taken out several saint-grade artifacts at once, completely shocking Li Rong to the point where she was rendered speechless. Li Rong couldn't help wondering if Yang Kai had plundered the treasuries of several great sects. Otherwise, how could he have collected so many saint-grade artifacts? Shocked, Li Rong didn't hesitate to accept Yang Kai's gifts and put them away. She knew better than anyone that the more powerful the ancient demon clan was, the more it could help Yang Kai. These artifacts could greatly enhance her and Han Fei's combat strength. Let's go back. Yang Kai quickly identified the direction they had come from and returned. Although there was no reference point in Starfield, Yang Kai's divine sense was quite sharp, so he didn't lose his way. After an unknown amount of time, the pair once again arrived at the entrance to the void corridor. Stepping inside and reappearing, they were back in the stone forest of shattering mystical palace. The surrounding stone pillars were still vibrating and ripples were spreading out from them. These ripples collided at the center of the void corridor and formed an entrance to Starfield. Reaching out and waving his hand, the stone pillars suddenly quieted down and the entrance to Starfield gradually disappeared. The world once again restored its tranquility. Master, this place is so important, should we set up some kind of barrier? Otherwise, someone might accidentally break in and destroy it, Li Rong asked. Do you know how to? Yang Kai looked at her in surprise. Li Rong smiled lightly. I know a bit, although it's not a good idea, it's probably better than the original barrier here. Good. Yang Kai nodded. He had just been wondering whether or not to send someone to guard this place, so Li Rong's proposal was exactly what he had been hoping for. With Yang Kai's permission, Li Rong immediately began making arrangements. Speaking of which, Yang Kai had never studied things like restrictions and formations. He could destroy them, but he didn't know how to set them up. At this moment, seeing that Li Rong was going to use this kind of method, he naturally wanted to learn, so he followed her and watched. Li Rong didn't hide anything. She explained to Yang Kai while she was arranging, which benefited him a lot. A few hours later, a hidden spirit array was placed around the stone pillars, so that even if Yang Kai used his divine sense to probe them, he could not detect them all. Awesome. If I have time, I'd like to learn more about this from you. Yang Kai gave him a thumbs up. After being praised, Li Rong's face seemed to glow. She pursed her lips and said, Master, you flatter me. It's just a small trick. Let's go back first. Yang Kai chuckled. He was very interested in this long shuttle artifact and wanted to refine it as much as possible to find out what it was used for. The two immediately flew off in the direction of the Holy Land. After returning to the 9 peaks from shattering mystical palace, before he even had time to enter the Holy Land, Yang Kai felt a large number of life auras converge in a certain location. Faintly, he also heard the sound of a noisy argument. Yang Kai frowned and walked over with Li Rong. As they got closer, the noise from the other side gradually became clearer. It seemed that many people were shouting, their voices filled with grievances and resentment. All of them were accusing 9 Heaven's Holy Land of taking advantage of its position to bully the weak. Occasionally, Holy Land Elder Shakuan could be heard shouting. Kai Yang couldn't help but quicken his pace and soon arrived at the scene of the incident. Frowning, he asked, "What happened?" Hearing Yang Kai's voice, Shakuan quickly turned his head and saw Yang Kai leading Li Rong over. Shocked, he cupped his fists and greeted, "Greetings, Holy Master, Holy Master." The noisy cultivator also quieted down in an instant as they turned to look at Yang Kai, wanting to see what this new Holy Master of 9 Heaven's Holy Land looked like. However, in the next moment, everyone's eyes were attracted to Li Rong. Graceful, dignified, and elegant. At first glance, one could tell she was a beautiful woman with a slender figure and full breasts. Her skin was as white as jade and exuded a porcelain-like luster. When these people saw Li Rong, they couldn't help staring straight at her. None of them were in a hurry to make a fuss, all of them instead showing dazzling expressions. Li Rong's brow furrowed slightly as she swept her eyes around coldly, letting out a cold snort. An invisible shockwave spread out, causing everyone's face to go pale. In an instant, all of them fell into a daze, as if the beautiful woman in front of them had transformed into a ferocious beast, waving its claws and roaring. Involuntarily, all of them averted their eyes, trembling in fear. Yang Kai glanced over at Li Rong and couldn't help laughing. If she doesn't let others look at me like this in the future, I'm afraid I'll be annoyed. All living beings in this world, regardless of whether they were men or women, had no immunity to beauty. When they saw a beautiful woman, they would naturally take a few more glances at her. Li Rong had always lived in Demon God Citadel, so her clansmen were all extremely respectful to her, not daring to show any ill intentions towards her. Coming to the outside world, it was only natural that such a scene would often occur. You'll get used to it. Yang Kai quietly comforted. Li Rong's face blushed slightly as she realized she had gone too far and nodded gently. With her cultivation and identity, secretly using underhanded means to deal with such a motley crew was really inappropriate. What's the situation here? Yang Kai turned to Shikuan and asked. Shikuan quickly replied, reporting to Holy Master, these people are the cultivators who have been wandering around my Holy Land's 9 peaks during this time. I was ordered by the Great Elder to give them a 3-day deadline to evacuate. Seeing that the deadline was about to expire, these people refused to leave, insisting that we were taking advantage of our position to bully them. This subordinate had no choice but to argue with them. Yang Kai nodded and asked, what about Shu Hui? Great Elder has other matters to attend to, so he left this matter to me. While the two were talking, the group of people also recovered from the panic of Li Rong, and a man in yellow robes shouted, "Are you the new Holy Master of 9 Heavens Holy Land?" Following this man's voice, Yang Kai turned his head and nodded lightly. Yes, what advice do you have for me? I wouldn't dare give advice. The yellow-robed man smiled sarcastically. We are here to seek treasures and have not provoked your 9 Heavens Holy Land, so why do you want to drive us away? Why? Yang Kai grinned. This is my Holy Land's 9 peaks. Tell me, why should I drive you away? We haven't even entered the 9 peaks yet, so why are we obstructing you? Don't you think you're overstepping your bounds? The yellow-robed man sneered. Or do you think our cultivations aren't high enough so you can bully us at will? Let me tell you, although our cultivations aren't high, we aren't so easily bullied. Saying so, the yellow-robed man held his head high and puffed out his chest, as if saying he could be killed but not humiliated. His words aroused the anger of many people, and in an instant, many of them began pointing their spears at 9 Heavens Holy Land. Shikuan angrily shouted, "If you don't want to die, shut up. Who dares act presumptuously in front of my Holy Master?" These words completely poured oil on the fire, causing the yellow-robed man to shout, "Did you all hear that? An elder of 9 Heavens Holy Land wants to kill you." Since ancient times, 9 Heavens Holy Land has always been a golden signboard for the human race. Rumors have it that the people of 9 Heavens Holy Land are gentle and loyal, but now it seems they aren't. Or is it that after the death of the previous generation's Holy Master, the current generation's Holy Master is evil? If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. That's right, I also heard that this generation's Holy Master colluded with demon race and even raised a group of demons in the 9 Peak. These words caused an uproar as everyone began discussing amongst themselves, the look in their eyes suddenly changing as they stared at Yang Kai. The yellow-robed man stood in the crowd and stared at Yang Kai with a smug look on his face, saying, "What can you do about me?" Li Rong's pretty face filled with anger as she whispered, "Master, he seems to be bullying you because you are too young." Then his miscalculated, Yang Kai sneered before turning to Shikuan and asking, "How much longer until the deadline given to them by Great Elder arrives?" Shikuan looked up at the sky and quickly said, "At most, no more than the time it would take to brew a cup of tea." Yang Kai nodded lightly before turning to the crowd and saying, "I won't waste any more time with you. If you don't withdraw after the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, prepare to die here." Seeing the smile on Yang Kai's face, it didn't seem like he was joking, causing many people to feel fear and involuntarily retreat a few steps. "What are you afraid of?" The yellow-robed man shouted again, "They won't dare kill us. We haven't done anything to harm 9 Heavens Holy Land. Do you think we'll be killed just because we're nearby? If they really are so overbearing, someone will definitely avenge us." "That's right, the world's actions are based on reason, why would they dare kill us?" Someone echoed. "If we retreat now, we won't be able to obtain those treasures for the rest of our lives. They want to monopolize those treasures, that's why they're driving us away." Yang Kai didn't say anything, simply standing there with a smile on his face, letting these people clamor. The cultivator who had originally intended to leave also stopped, preparing to observe for a while before deciding what to do next. Subconsciously, they still didn't believe that a great force like Nine Heavens' Holy Land would kill people without reason, especially when their new Holy Master was here. "Holy Master, time's up," Shakuan suddenly said. Yang Kai nodded, staring at the yellow-robed man from across the crowd, his eyes filled with ridicule. Being stared at like this, the yellow-robed man couldn't help feeling his hair stand on end, as if he was being stared at by a poisonous snake. Feeling a chill in his heart, he put on a strong front and shouted, "What are you looking at, boy? Don't think just because you're the new Holy Master of Nine Heavens' Holy Land you can do whatever you want. You're just lucky. If Father here was chosen by that saintess, he would definitely be better than you." "Is that so?" Yang Kai's mouth curled into a strange smile, silently and mysteriously, tilting his head as he stared at the yellow-robed man. "You seem to think I wouldn't dare kill you. Who gave you so much confidence to make you think this way?" The yellow-robed man's face changed as he shouted, "If you kill someone here, what difference is there between you and a monster demon? In the future, there will be no place for your Nine Heavens' Holy Land in this world." Yang Kai slowly shook his head. "Is that what that person told you? Are you an idiot enough to believe it?" Saying so, Yang Kai suddenly showed an impatient expression, a cold light flashing across his eyes as he shouted, "A trivial first-order transcendent trash, if you die then die, do you think anyone will uphold justice for you?" Chapter 884. Yang Kai's roar resounded like thunder in his ears, causing the yellow-robed man's body to tremble, and he instinctively tried to hide in the crowd, instinctively trying to find some sense of security. But no matter where he hid, he felt like a sword was hanging over his head and the aura of death was approaching him. "You dared to attack me. You will definitely regret it in the future," the yellow-robed man roared hysterically. "Threatening me?" Yang Kai curled his lips, a look of disdain on his face. "Those who dare threaten me all end up miserable." Kai. A strange sound rang out, and the yellow-robed man, who was hiding in the crowd, suddenly felt a strange force enter his body. The next moment, his body began to swell like a balloon, becoming round and large in a very short time. His face flushed red. The yellow-robed man could clearly feel his 5 viscera, 6 organs, blood, and bones being crushed by this unreasonable expansion. Severe pain spread throughout his body and blood began to flow from his 7 orifices. A great panic descended upon him as he felt like he was about to die, but his senses were still so clear and sharp. Save me." The yellow-robed man squeezed out a few words from his mouth, his eyes rolling upwards, only able to see white but not black, his whole body twitching uncontrollably. Peng. With a muffled sound, the yellow-robed man suddenly burst into a pool of blood, not even his bones remaining. Bits of flesh and viscera flew everywhere, dyeing the nearby cultivator blood red. Everyone's eyes trembled, their hearts filled with fear, each one of them remaining silent out of fear. The cultivator who had shouted before no longer dared to look at Yang Kai, fearing he would suddenly attack and kill them all. "This is the fate of those who threaten me." Yang Kai laughed, his expression joyful, as if he had just done a trivial thing, very calm. Suddenly, his expression became cold and gloomy as he shouted, "If you just came here to play, my Nine Heavens Holy Land will welcome you, but if you have some ulterior motive, don't blame me for not showing mercy." Kai. Streaks of golden yuan qi suddenly shot out like snakes with sharp fangs. They seemed to have locked onto a few cultivator in the crowd and attacked them directly, penetrating into their bodies without missing a millimeter. Just like the yellow-robed man, the bodies of these cultivators all expanded, and when they reached their limit, they exploded. Before they died, they experienced the fear that came from the depths of their soul. Seeing that Yang Kai killed without hesitation and had no intention of stopping, the cultivator gathered here did not dare to stay any longer. They all screamed and ran away with all their strength. He was no longer willing to stay outside the 9 peaks. Yang Kai waved his hand, and a chain-like yuan qi shot out, binding a middle-aged man in the crowd and dragging him back. The middle-aged man's entire body trembled, and his face turned pale. When he saw that everyone else had already escaped, but he was the only one left behind, he couldn't help but loudly beg for mercy and kowtow like he was pounding garlic. "You were quite loud just now. Yang Kai looked at him with a sneer. Master, Holy Master, please spare me. I won't do it again. I will never come to 9 Heavens Holy Land again. Master, Holy Master, please spare me. Yang Kai said contemptuously as he stared down at him condescendingly, I won't kill you this time, but I need you to pass on a message for me. Hearing this, the middle-aged man quickly nodded. Please speak, Master, Holy Master. I don't care who ordered you to do these things. When you return, tell him that the next time he dares to use such despicable means to try to provoke me, I will personally come to his sect and wipe out his sect and family, not leaving even a chicken or dog alive. The middle-aged man was stunned for a moment before realizing that Yang Kai had already seen through his little tricks and quickly nodded. I'll definitely pass on this message. Scram! Yang Kai shouted. The middle-aged man thanked Yang Kai while stumbling away quickly. Looking at the fleeing figure, Shakuan's expression became dignified as he worriedly asked, Holy Master, won't this cause some kind of problem? Don't worry, it's just a few clowns. If they die then they die. Yang Kai shook his head. The next time you find such people outside the Holy Land with malicious intentions, immediately kill them. There's no need to reason with them. Yes. Shakuan quickly responded, his eyes gradually filling with excitement as he stared at Yang Kai. Shakuan suddenly discovered that this new Holy Master's personality was very different from that of the old Holy Master. The old Holy Master did things with the overall situation in mind, never doing anything that was detrimental to the Holy Land. But this new Holy Master was different. His methods were tough and his personality was cold. This kind of temperament was very much to Shakuan's liking. Sure enough, this young man is full of vigor and vitality. I hope the Holy Land can be like this new Holy Master in the future, full of vigor and vitality. The cultivator wandering outside the 9 peaks was just a group of small fries. Yang Kai didn't put them in his eyes at all. If he hadn't happened to run into them on his way back, he wouldn't have intervened in this matter. After exhorting Shakuan, Yang Kai returned to the 9 peaks. Li Rong respectfully excused herself, saying that she wanted to distribute the saint-grade artifacts to the various great commanders so they could refine them as soon as possible in order to improve their combat strength. Holy Master Court. This was the residence of the Holy Master of 9 Heavens Holy Land. Generations of divine masters had lived in this exquisite and magnificent building complex, enjoying the best scenery and the densest spirit energy at the peak of the mountain. Now that Yang Kai was in charge of 9 Heavens Holy Land, this naturally became his residence. In addition to him, there was another person who lived here, the Saintess and Ling Er. According to the original rules of 9 Heavens Holy Land, a Saintess lived for the Holy Master. Everything a Saintess did was to prepare for the Holy Master's strength. They were willing to devote everything they had to the Holy Master, including their lives. Every Saintess was instilled with this ideology from a young age. When Yang Kai returned, he happened to see Enlinger sitting at the table in his room, her hands resting on her cheeks, her eyes red as if she was in a daze. Yang Kai stared at her for a while, but she didn't respond. It wasn't until Yang Kai sat down across the table that Enlinger suddenly woke up and quickly got up, politely bowing. Has Holy Master returned? There's no need to be so polite. Yang Kai smiled bitterly and poured himself a cup of tea, looking at her and asking, Saintess Nan, how is she? Hearing Yang Kai ask this, Enlinger seemed to become even sadder, whispering softly, she's still the same. What are you going to do? I want to try and resolve the obsession in her heart, but I don't know what to do. Saintess Nan was a living corpse. The only reason she could still move was because of the obsession in her heart. Once it was resolved, her body would stop moving and she would be able to rest in peace. In Yang Kai's opinion, the most convenient method was to directly destroy Saintess Nan's body and end all troubles, but Enlinger's feelings for her were too deep, so she obviously wasn't willing to do so. Is there no record of this in the Holy Land? Yang Kai frowned and asked. There should be. Enlinger wiped the corners of her eyes, because in the historical records, such a thing has happened in the Holy Land before. Be patient and look for it, perhaps you can find a solution, Yang Kai comforted. Enlinger gently nodded, I also think so. After a moment of silence, Yang Kai suddenly noticed that Enlinger had a hesitant expression on her face, as if she had something difficult to say. Smiling lightly, Yang Kai said, You don't need to be polite with me. If there's anything you want to say, I will definitely help. And Ling Er's face blushed slightly as she pursed her lips and whispered, actually, the elders are asking. What are they asking? They're asking about us. And Ling Er's face became even redder as her eyes became watery, somewhat embarrassed. Yang Kai was stunned for a moment before suddenly realizing something and smiling bitterly. Why are they so anxious? Of course they're anxious. And Ling Er sneered, you're the holy master of the Holy Land. They all want you to grow up as soon as possible and become an overlord. Every generation of holy masters cultivated with their saintesses, allowing them to grow at an unimaginable speed. On top of that, every generation of holy masters was able to reach the peak of the Third Order Saint realm. This was why Nine Heavens' Holy Land had been able to stand tall for so many years and enjoy such a great reputation in Tongxian realm. Then what do you think? Yang Kai looked towards An Ling Er and asked. An Ling Er lowered her head as she pinched her clothes with her fingers, a look of unease appearing on her face as she muttered, us saintesses are taught from childhood to obey the orders of the Holy Master, so this matter, it's up to you to decide. Whatever you say, I'll listen to you. And Ling Er's well-behaved and obedient appearance made Yang Kai feel quite overwhelmed. A saintess was already an outstanding beauty, 1 in 10,000, and now that she was showing such an expression, any man would likely be tempted. Yang Kai also felt that at this moment, An Ling Er's charm was boundless. Sighing slightly, Yang Kai straightened his face and quickly said, you said before that we're friends, right? An Ling Er nodded lightly. Since we're friends, I'll tell you the truth. Yang Kai said solemnly, when I was in the Holy Tomb, something happened and I learned why the Holy Master of the Holy Land was able to rapidly increase his strength. What secret? And Ling Er couldn't help becoming interested. Although she was a saintess, she still didn't know much about this secret. The reason why the Holy Master was able to rapidly increase his strength and reach the Third Order Saint realm was entirely by consuming the vitality of both himself and the saintess. Consuming vitality? En. Yang Kai nodded and explained carefully, everyone has a different degree of vitality. Those with more vitality can live longer, while those with less vitality are the opposite. Moreover, as one's strength increases, the vitality of a cultivator will also increase. However, the secret art the Holy Master cultivates requires one's vitality as a price to cultivate. Therefore, every Holy Master is extremely talented and has profound strength, but they also have a short lifespan. And Ling Er's mouth opened slightly, as if she had just heard some incredible secret. I'm not going to cultivate that kind of secret art, nor will I allow you to. Yang Kai looked at her seriously, because I want to live longer. You and I are friends, and I don't want to see my friend die early. And Ling Er's beautiful eyes flashed, seemingly moved by his words. I don't have many friends, but you count as one. I hope we can cherish this relationship in the future. Holy Master and Saintess are only external identities, but in private, we can treat each other as equals. What do you think? And Ling Er nodded repeatedly. Chapter 885. The secret art that Nine Heavens Holy Land's Holy Masters cultivated was not something Yang Kai was interested in. Seeking strength at the cost of one's own vitality was a bit of a waste. Yang Kai's pursuit of the peak of the martial Tao was not like this. As such, he had never intended to follow the footsteps of the previous Holy Masters. He had his own goals and pursuits. However, this required An Ling Er's cooperation. Seeing her nod her head, Yang Kai also felt happy and relieved. But, what if the elders ask? An Ling Er couldn't help worrying, they all seemed to be very anxious. A dog trying to catch a mouse, a busybody. Yang Kai muttered to himself. There was no need to ask, he knew the most anxious one should be that old man Shu Hui. It was definitely him urging An Ling Er to cultivate with him as soon as possible. Hearing him say this, An Ling Er giggled, the room suddenly becoming much brighter. How about this? If they ask, just tell them that we're already cultivating. That's fine, but that's only for a while. An Ling Er lightly pursed her red lips, you won't have any problems. With your aptitude, even if you don't cultivate that secret art, your strength will increase rapidly, but if I don't break through for a long time, the elders will definitely become suspicious. I'll help you. Yang Kai grinned. How will you help me? And Ling Er was stunned. Yang Kai flipped his hand and summoned out a delicate jade bottle, handing it to her and saying, "This bottle contains a very strange spirit liquid. After you take it back, take a drop every day and your strength will slowly improve." And Ling took the bottle skeptically, opened it, and took a whiff of its fragrance. Her eyes couldn't help shining as she stared at Yang Kai. "Is this really useful?" "Of course it's useful," Yang Kai nodded affirmatively, adding, "When you're done with it, you can ask me for more. Then I'll take it back and try it, thank you." And Ling giggled, seemingly having chatted with Yang Kai for a while. Her mood had become much better, no longer as sad as before. After chatting for a while, Ling left. Yang Kai used his divine sense to inform Shu Hui, Li Rong, and the others that he was going into retreat for a while and that they were not to disturb him. After receiving a reply, Yang Kai left the Holy Master Court and headed to the Holy Tomb alone. The Holy Mausoleum was an excellent place for seclusion. Other than Yang Kai using the Holy Lord Spirit Ring to open it, no one else could open it, so there was no need to worry about being disturbed. Arriving in front of the huge bluestone, Yang Kai placed the Holy Lord Spirit Ring on his finger at a specific location, opened the Holy Tomb, and dove in. In the dim and gloomy environment, there were still traces of 9 Heavens Holy Land's disciples living here. Although the environment wasn't very good, the world energy aura here was extremely rich. After finding a random spot, Yang Kai sat down cross-legged. Taking out the long shuttle artifact he obtained from the starfield, Yang Kai carefully examined it. He could feel that this artifact contained a mysterious power and that there were countless complex spirit arrays carved into it, but if he didn't refine it, he wouldn't be able to figure out what this artifact's function was. Holding his breath, Yang Kai released his divine sense and scanned the long shuttle artifact, probing its material and structure, looking for a way to break through. If one wanted to refine an artifact, the first step was to leave their soul brand on it and engrave their life imprint. Only then could they begin to refine it. After leaving their life imprint, they would absorb it into their body and nourish it with their yuan qi and divine sense. After reaching a certain level, an artifact would resonate with one's body and become useful to them. Even if it was absorbed into one's body, it would still take a long time to nourish it before it could display its full power. Therefore, every cultivator would not easily replace the artifact they were using, because after a long period of refinement and nourishment, a subtle connection would form between them and their artifact. This connection would allow them to display the full power of their artifact in battle, greatly increasing their combat effectiveness. If they replaced it with an unfamiliar artifact, it wouldn't have such an effect. Unless there was no longer a balance between the growth of their strength and the grade of their artifact, a cultivator would choose to change their artifact. Even so, they would still look for artifacts that were compatible with their own secret arts and martial skills to refine. Most cultivators would search for materials and ask an artifact refiner to tailor an artifact for them. An excellent artifact refiner would tailor an artifact for a cultivator that was truly suitable for that cultivator. Yang Kai had never struggled like this before, mainly because he generally didn't rely on the power of artifacts. If he found something useful, he would just casually refine it. He was too lazy to search for materials and ask someone to refine it for him. This long shuttle artifact had an owner a long time ago, but that owner may have lost his way in the starfield or encountered an accident and died in the starfield. The long shuttle artifact drifted with the asteroid sea and was accidentally discovered and obtained by Yang Kai. Using his divine sense, Yang Kai soon found a very subtle soul aura inside the long shuttle artifact. This was the soul brand that belonged to its original owner. It was necessary to erase it in order to engrave his own brand onto it. Feeling this soul aura, Yang Kai couldn't help feeling shocked. Although many years had passed and the soul aura left inside the artifact had become very weak, Yang Kai could still feel how pure and rich it had been before it had weakened. The original owner of this artifact was at least a third-order saint. Such a top master had fallen in the star field, causing one to sigh and sigh. Yang Kai also realized the horror of the star field. He had entered the star field twice, but what he had seen was just a drop in the ocean. It was likely he hadn't encountered any real danger. That was a disaster that even a third-order saint couldn't resist. Using his divine sense, Yang Kai released his conflagrated spiritual energy and began burning inside the artifact. Kai, The soul brand left inside the artifact was erased in an instant. Yang Kai's yuan qi surged and poured it into the long shuttle while his divine sense remained inside. This kind of thing was very time-consuming and couldn't be rushed, so Yang Kai sat in place and maintained his yuan qi and divine sense, allowing the long shuttle to familiarize itself with his aura. Gradually, some subtle Jin yuan and spiritual energy were able to penetrate into the shuttle and stay there. This also meant that it was beginning to accept his aura. Yang Kai's heart settled, knowing that this artifact and his yuan qi weren't mutually exclusive. If they were, then no matter how hard he tried, he wouldn't be able to refine it. Ignoring the long shuttle artifact in his hand and allowing it to be eroded by his yuan qi and spiritual energy, Yang Kai sent his consciousness into the black book space. Perceiving the arrival of Yang Kai, the divine tree faintly welcomed him, seemingly in a somewhat bad mood. "What's wrong?" Yang Kai smiled and asked. "I feel a little lonely." The divine tree responded, "I'm the only one here, so when you don't come, I can only stare blankly." "Lonely?" Yang Kai's face went black, suddenly discovering that the divine tree's sentience had grown to a level he hadn't expected. In the past, it wouldn't have said such things. "I'm sorry." Kai Yang expressed his apologies. "I can't place living creatures of flesh and blood in this place, otherwise I could have found a few companions for you. There used to be a yin-yang monster ginseng, but unfortunately it has disappeared." "Yin-yang monster ginseng? What's that?" "A kind of world spirit treasure," Yang Kai explained, his eyes suddenly lighting up. "Right, world spirit treasures have some sentience. I can find some for you to accompany you." The divine tree was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and find me a few." "No hurry." Yang Kai laughed, "I still have something to do here, so I'm in seclusion. I promise you, when I come out, I'll help you find them, and this kind of thing is very rare, it won't be easy to find, it will take some time." "Oh." The divine tree couldn't help but be a little disappointed, but soon recovered and said cheerfully, "Then I'll wait." Yang Kai nodded seriously, "Don't worry, I'll definitely find them for you." "I believe you." "Are there any changes to the 2 stones now?" Yang Kai asked again. "They're still the same, they've been eating other stones, and I found that their appetite seems to have increased a lot." "Oh." Yang Kai was surprised and hurried to the 2 pitch-black round stones, and found that it was as the divine tree said, since a few days ago he and Li Rong found a large number of ores in the starfield and placed them here. The 2 pitch-black round stones had increased their absorption of mineral essence. In just a few days, they had consumed a month's worth of ores. The surrounding area was filled with crushed stones that had lost their essence. Looking around, Yang Kai could even clearly see the condensed essence of these ores continuously flowing into the pitch-black round stone, disappearing without a trace. Nourished by these ores' essence, the 2 pitch-black round stones exuded a faint glow, and the meridian-like lines inside them became clearer and more coherent, a large amount of energy flowing through them. "What the hell are these? Why are they eating stones?" The divine tree expressed curiosity. "Even if you ask me, I don't know." Yang Kai shrugged his shoulders, "But there will be a day when the truth comes to light. Keep watching them, if you find any big changes, remember to inform me immediately." A moment later, Yang Kai left the black book space and his consciousness returned to his body. Time flew by, and half a month passed. During this time, Yang Kai had continuously allowed Yuan Qi and his spiritual energy to erode the long shuttle artifact, carving his own life mark and soul brand, but the progress was very slow. Yang Kai didn't know what grade this long shuttle artifact was, but it was even more difficult than refining the Saint-grade high-rank silver leaf artifact. However, after half a month, Yang Kai finally succeeded in carving his own brand inside this long shuttle artifact and took it into his body. Next was a long period of nurturing. Only when he could resonate with this long shuttle artifact would he be able to understand its purpose and use it to fight his enemies. This was something Yang Kai didn't need to do deliberately, he just needed time to settle down, and after a certain point, it would naturally resonate with him. Chapter 886. After storing the long shuttle artifact into his body, Yang Kai came out of seclusion to take a look at the current situation of the Holy Land and found that everything was normal. After the last incident, The disciples of the Holy Land were now working very hard in their cultivation, and the elders had also made great progress. The ancient demon race, under the constraints of Li Rong and the other great commanders, were now able to coexist peacefully with the people of Nine Heavens' Holy Land. The only thing that was of concern was the issue of cultivation materials. Although the wizard had delivered a lot of materials to them last time, with the thousands of people in the Holy Land, their consumption rate was quite high and it wouldn't be long before they ran out of supplies. In the past, Nine Heavens' Holy Land's cultivation materials had all been obtained by the disciples who went out to find them, by the 3 nearby forces, or by the old Holy Master who went to the monster race territory to exchange for crystal stones. Now that the crystal stone lode had been unscrupulously mined by the monster race for 2 or 3 years, it was on the verge of exhaustion. There wasn't even enough for them to use, so how could they exchange for supplies with others? Yang Kai took out the things he couldn't use from the Black Book space, but even that could only alleviate the situation for a while. The Holy Land's elders were worried about the future every day. Seeing them like this, Yang Kai was really embarrassed to ask them to help him find world spirit treasures. World spirit treasures, regardless of their grade, were all extremely rare and valuable. At this critical juncture, how could the Holy Land have the spare energy to do such a thing? Yang Kai also had no good ideas, so he simply threw this mess to Shu Hui and the others and entered the Holy Tomb again to cultivate. Inside the Holy Tomb, Yang Kai comprehended the heavenly way and martial Tao, exploring the path ahead of him. Occasionally, when he was tired from cultivating, Yang Kai would refine pills to relieve his body and mind. The original intention of learning alchemy was to cultivate his spiritual energy. Because the true alchemic way, which contained a huge amount of precious information, was stored in Yang Kai's mind, it was impossible to pry into it without using his spiritual energy. But gradually, after mastering a considerable amount of alchemy knowledge, Yang Kai also embarked on this path. He didn't expect to go very far, but now he was able to refine saint-grade mid-rank pills, better than 90% of the alchemists in the world. The true alchemic way played an important role. In particular, Yang Kai discovered that while studying alchemy, it was of great help to his martial Tao and cultivation. His understanding of the conflagrated knowledge sea had also become more thorough. Yang Kai decided that he would truly treat alchemy as a side branch of comprehending martial art. Therefore, while raising his cultivation base, he also spared no effort to improve his alchemy skills. Unfortunately, since the last time he refined the mid-rank saint-grade pill in Demon God Castle, Yang Kai didn't have many saint-grade materials on hand. With Yang Kai's current level, if he didn't refine a saint-grade pill, he wouldn't be able to improve his attainments in alchemy. After refining a few saint-grade pills in the Holy Tomb, he was completely out of saint-grade herbs, making him extremely helpless. There was no flowing time, Great Emperor, for cultivation. When Yang Kai came out of seclusion again, it was already 3 months later. The scenery of the 9 peaks had undergone some subtle changes. Inside the hall, the elders were discussing something, the atmosphere dignified. Seeing Yang Kai arrive, all of them wore shocked expressions and quickly stood up to greet him. "Sit down, I just came out of seclusion today, so there's no need to pay attention to me," Yang Kai gestured. Everyone nodded lightly and sat down. "Holy Master has come at just the right time," Shu Hui said. "We were just discussing whether we should sell some of the Holy Land's valuables we can't use. Holy Master should give us some advice." "Sell what?" Yang Kai was stunned. "Some artifacts we can't use and some secret arts and martial skills that don't belong to my Nine Heavens Holy Land," Shu Hui replied. "Why should we sell them?" Yang Kai swept his eyes around. All the elders blushed slightly as they glanced around at each other, none of them saying anything. Yang Kai was even more puzzled. Shu Hui smiled bitterly and explained, "The main reason is that the disciples have been cultivating in the Holy Tomb some time ago and have made many gains and breakthroughs. In order to consolidate their current cultivation, they have consumed too much of their strength. The Holy Land's Yuan Qi has also been greatly damaged, so we don't have enough cultivation materials. If we sell what we have, we can exchange it for a lot of other things. Holy Master, please persuade Great Elder, he even wants to sell the saint-grade low-rank artifact the old Holy Master gave him," Yu Ying said. Yang Kai was taken aback and asked, Is the Holy Land in such dire straits now? Its subordinates' incompetence, Shu Hui said awkwardly, but as long as we get through this difficult time, things will improve after a while. It's not your fault. Yang Kai shook his head and said thoughtfully, it's also related to the demons I brought with me. Didn't you distribute a lot of materials to them? Although Shu Hui and the others had never told him this, Yang Kai had been able to observe it. Since the ancient demon clan moved into the Holy Land, the ancient demon race had always had an abundance of cultivation materials, all of which should have been given to them by Shu Hui. The Holy Land could be self-sufficient, but the ancient demon clan could not. They could not leave the 9 peaks at all. Once they were discovered, it would likely cause trouble. The extra 1,000 people would only become a burden to the Holy Land. Hearing Yang Kai's question, Shu Hui did not deny it and simply nodded silently. This is my responsibility, Yang Kai gently nodded, taking the initiative to admit his mistake. I have neglected this issue. After pondering for a while, Yang Kai's eyes suddenly lit up and he asked, Great Elder, allow me to ask something I shouldn't be asking. Do you elders who have reached the Saint Realm have a habit of collecting Saint-grade materials? Shu Hui nodded, yes, since breaking through to the transcendent late stage, Subordinate has been purposefully collecting materials, refining pills, refining artifacts. Whatever I need, I will collect, and when the day comes, I will find a suitable alchemist or artifact refiner to help me refine it. I have also collected materials, Cheng Yu Tong nodded. The other elders all chimed in one after another, each of them indicating that they had all done the same. Because saint-grade materials were not easy to collect, it took a long time to collect, so generally, when one reached the transcendent realm, a cultivator would do this with a purpose. However, the materials we have collected have all been used up. Unfortunately, Elder Yu Ying, the materials for the clear sky pill that she spent 10 years collecting have all been used up recently, Shu Hui sighed. What are you talking about? Yu Ying smiled. Which one of you hasn't taken out the materials you worked so hard to collect? We're not the same. Luo Sheng sighed. We haven't collected all the materials yet, but all you need to do is find an outstanding alchemist to help you refine an emerald sky pill. If you're lucky, you might be able to refine an emerald sky pill and greatly increase your strength. In front of Holy Master, let's not talk about this. Yu Ying covered her mouth and smiled. It's as if we're crying poor. The other elders all laughed dryly. Holy Master, why do you ask this? Shu Hui asked in confusion. Yang Kai's eyes flashed brightly. In other words, most transcendent realm cultivators in this world have a habit of collecting materials, and if they are lucky enough, they have already collected all of them. You could say that, Shu Hui nodded slightly. He didn't understand how this had anything to do with the current situation of the Holy Land, pausing for a moment before continuing. However, collecting all of these materials is of no use. Finding someone to refine and clear sky pill is very troublesome. Elder Yu Ying was unable to find a suitable person to help her refine the clear sky pill until now. Finding a good alchemist and artifact refiner is not easy, and there is also a risk of failure. That's good, Yang Kai chuckled. I have a way to alleviate the current situation of the Holy Land. Ah? The several elders couldn't help feeling pleasantly surprised, all of them turning excited looks towards Yang Kai. Elder Yu Ying, I'll return you and clear sky pill someday. Yang Kai looked at her with a smile. Yu Ying's expression shook as her beautiful eyes filled with expectation. Yang Kai stood up and shouted, Great Elder, use all of the Holy Land's connections to spread the word that my Holy Land can help people refine pills. If anyone needs a spirit-grade top-rank pill or above, they can come to my Holy Land. Good, saint-grade top-rank pills cannot be refined, this point must be made clear. Those who succeed will pay the same price as the pill itself, only crystal stones and herbs will be accepted. If the refinement fails, my Holy Land will compensate you in full. Inside the hall, all the elders' jaws dropped as they stared towards Yang Kai, none of them saying a word, none of them wondering what the Master Holy Land was up to today. Seeing Shu Hui not react at all, Yang Kai couldn't help frowning. Isn't the reward a bit too high? Shu Hui finally recovered and said with a wry smile, if the pill can be guaranteed to succeed, this reward is not high at all. Many people spend a huge amount of energy to collect materials and ask someone to refine them. If they fail once or twice, they will waste a lot of energy and money. Therefore, it is not excessive to ask for the same value of crystal stones or medicinal ingredients as the pill. On the contrary, this kind of reward is very easy to accept. Then why do all of you look like you've seen a ghost? Yang Kai swept his eyes over the crowd. Holy Master! Shu Hui's face twitched. Our holy land doesn't have a saint-grade alchemist. Shu Hui even suspected that Yang Kai had become muddle-headed from his seclusion and had even forgotten such a thing. Although Nine Heavens Holy Land was not weak in Tongxian realm, it still did not have a saint-grade alchemist. The main reason for this was that such an alchemist was too rare. The Alchemist Guild generally did not allow such an alchemist to work for any one force. The only exception was if the alchemist was cultivated by that force and was not subject to the jurisdiction of the Alchemist Guild. Unfortunately, Nine Heavens Holy Land had never produced a saint-grade alchemist after so many years. There wasn't one in the past, but that doesn't mean there isn't one now. Just release the news. Yang Kai smiled meaningfully. Shu Hui's body trembled as he suddenly thought of something. What Holy Master means is, among those demons, but soon he frowned again. Demons were unable to perform alchemy because of the demonic qi in their bodies. You don't need to worry about who will refine them, just do as I say. Yes. Seeing Yang Kai so confident, Shu Hui no longer asked and immediately began making arrangements with the other elders. Although Nine Heavens Holy Land had not received any help when it was in danger last time, and now they were embroiled in a public debate about colluding with evil demons, this did not prevent the news from spreading. The elders had made many connections in the outside world over the years, so each of them used their own methods to spread the news. Chapter 887. Inside the Holy Master Court, Yang Kai began examining the movement and internal texture of the long shuttle artifact, trying to figure out its purpose. Yang Kai didn't know what was so strange about this artifact, but not only was it extremely difficult to refine it into his body, it was also extremely time-consuming to make it resonate with him. It had been 4 months since Yang Kai had absorbed it into his body and nourished it with his Yuan Qi and divine sense, but it still hadn't shown any signs of activity. The artifact had been contaminated with Yang Kai's aura, but it still couldn't resonate with Yang Kai, causing Yang Kai to be at a loss for what to do. Suddenly, some subtle movements came from outside and a moment later, Shu Hui's voice called out, "Holy Master, subordinate requests an audience." "Come in," Yang Kai called out. Along with the sound of footsteps, Shu Hui quickly walked in and, with a strange look on his face, cupped his fists and said, "Holy Master, someone has come to ask the Holy Land for help in refining a pill uro." Yang Kai's brow furrowed as he muttered, "You finally come? Ien, you finally come." Shu Hui smiled bitterly. A month had passed since the day Yang Kai had asked the elders to use their connections to release the news, and today, this was the first time someone had come to ask for alchemy services. The main reason was that although Nine Heavens Holy Land was famous throughout the world, it had never produced a saint-grade alchemist, so when news of it spread, not many people believed it, not to mention that Shu Hui and the others had released news that even saint-grade mid-rank pills could be refined. This meant that there was at least one saint-grade mid-rank alchemist in Nine Heavens Holy Land. Saint-grade mid-rank alchemists were extremely rare in this world, one could count them on one's hand. The names of these grandmasters were all familiar, but none of them had anything to do with Nine Heavens Holy Land. The world didn't believe anyone here could refine such a pill. After waiting for an entire month, only one person had come. "Where is he?" Yang Kai rubbed his palms together, seemingly full of energy. "He's in the guest hall," Shu Hui quickly replied. "Ien, this is my first business deal, I'll go take a look myself," Yang Kai said, walking out with Shu Hui and flying towards the mountain peak where the guest hall was located. Did that person say what kind of pill he was going to refine? Yang Kai asked as they flew. "A high-grade spirit level soul concentrating pill. Only high-grade spirit level?" Yang Kai was stunned. He had thought that the person who had specially come here to request for alchemy would at least want to refine a saint-grade pill, but who would have thought that it would only be a high-grade spirit-grade pill? This made him a little disappointed. But thinking about it, the Holy Land's reputation hadn't been established yet. It was already good enough for someone to come and ask for alchemy. Yang Kai immediately raised his spirits and prepared to welcome the first guest of the Holy Land in his best condition. A month ago, when he learned about the predicament the Holy Land was in, a flash of inspiration came to him. If it was done properly, not only could it alleviate the current economic crisis in the Holy Land, but it could also sweep away the current depression in the Holy Land and restore the Holy Land's prestige. Most importantly, he could use this to help others refine pills to improve his own alchemy level. This was what Yang Kai wanted the most. Saint-grade materials were incredibly difficult to find. If he were to rely on himself to find them and improve his alchemy skills, he didn't know how long it would take him. However, most cultivators in this world had a habit of collecting herbs. Using the herbs they collected for alchemy was a good way to improve his alchemy skills. Since he began studying alchemy, Yang Kai had never failed, except for the occasional failure at the very beginning. This was why he dared to let Shu Hui make such a bold claim that if he failed, he would compensate the Holy Land in full in order to attract a cultivator in need to come to the Holy Land. A soul-concentrating pill. Yang Kai muttered thoughtfully, this guy must have had a relative or friend whose soul was damaged. Holy Master has also studied alchemy. Shu Hui looked at him in amazement. Knowing the purpose of a pill just by hearing its name was something Shu Hui couldn't do. It's just SOSO, Yang Kai chuckled. A short time later, the two arrived at the guest hall together. There was a middle-aged man in a grey robe sitting in the hall. He seemed to be slightly reserved as he sat upright and still without moving. Inside the hall, several maids stood nearby. They had already served him a fragrant tea, but he had yet to drink it, instead wearing a heavy expression, his brow furrowed and his face filled with worry. Yang Kai swept this man with his divine sense and found that he was just a first-order transcendent cultivator, immediately understanding why he had come to Nine Heavens Holy Land for alchemy assistance. This cultivator's strength wasn't very high and he didn't wear any high-grade artifacts, so he should be a cultivator from a small family or force. Such a cultivator wanting to collect the materials for a single spirit-grade top-rank pill must have experienced a lot of setbacks and trouble. If he were to find an unreliable alchemist to refine a pill and failed, he would have to start all over again to find the required herbs. But coming to Nine Heavens Holy Land was a different story. Shu Hui had already announced that even if he failed, he would be compensated in full, so there was no need for him to worry. The condition of full compensation if he failed was the main reason why he had come here. Hearing the noise, the middle-aged man quickly got up and turned to Yang Kai and Shu Hui, cupping his fists and smiling wryly. Great Elder Shu Hui, this one greets you. Sit, there's no need to be polite. Shu Hui also appeared quite approachable. As a second-order saint, being able to show such an attitude towards a first-order transcendent cultivator really made the other party feel flattered. Blushing slightly, the middle-aged man sat down and stared at Yang Kai suspiciously. Shu Hui quickly said, "Allow me to introduce you, this is my Holy Land's Holy Master, Yang Kai." The middle-aged man stood up again, showing a look of shock and envy as he exclaimed, "So it was Yang Shengzhu. I've heard so much about you. Bad reputation?" Yang Kai chuckled. Some time ago, the Holy Land had experienced a lot of trouble. Rumors had spread that this place had colluded with the demon race and the monster race, and some people had maliciously spread these rumors. As a result, Nine Heavens Holy Land's reputation among the human race was not very good. Yang Kai, the Holy Master who had colluded with the monster race and was willing to fall into depravity, was naturally well known. The middle-aged man didn't seem to have expected Yang Kai to say such a thing, but after a moment of silence, he quickly smiled and said, "I wouldn't dare, it's fine, I know what kind of rumors are circulating outside. Ian, let's not talk about that today, we'll just talk about alchemy. How should I address you, friend? This one is Lu Qingjing. I heard you want to refine the soul condensing pill, have you brought all the herbs?" "I've brought them," Lu Qingjing quickly replied, picking up a small package on the table. Seeing this scene, Yang Kai was even more certain that this person really wasn't rich. Because he didn't even have a universe bag, the herbs he brought were actually wrapped in a small package. Yang Kai gestured to Shu Hui, who quickly took the package and handed it over to Yang Kai. Opening the package and carefully inspecting the herbs inside, Yang Kai nodded lightly. "These herbs are well preserved, their medicinal efficacies haven't deteriorated too much. Being able to perform alchemy shows you put a lot of thought into it, but next time you can't store them like this. At the very least you should prepare some special containers to store them. Lu Qingjing smiled awkwardly. Yang Shengzhu is right, next time this Lu will pay more attention. But the herbs you've arranged are missing one. Yang Kai smiled lightly. Without the soul condensing grass, if you only rely on these materials to refine, the success rate will be greatly reduced. At most, you'll only have a 30% chance of successfully refining a pill. Ah! Lu Qingjing was shocked, a look of confusion appearing on his face. How could that be? The person who told you these herbs must have a poor alchemy level, Yang Kai said without any trace of politeness. Lu Qingjing nodded. It was a spirit-grade low-rank alchemist who told me. No wonder, with these materials, even if you were lucky enough to successfully refine a pill, the medicinal efficacies won't be enough to save your family or friends. Yang Shengzhu, how did you know? Lu Qingjing couldn't help trembling slightly as he stared at Yang Kai in shock. This pill has the effect of condensing and dispersing one's soul. Yang Kai smiled lightly. Anyone familiar with alchemy will know. Which family member or friend of yours was seriously injured in a battle and is currently unconscious? Lu Qingjing's face filled with admiration as he nodded. Yang Shengzhu is right. To tell you the truth, the one who was seriously injured was my son. It has been half a year since he fell into a coma. This Lu has been collecting herbs for a long time and was just about to find an alchemist to help me refine a pill when I heard the news released by Nine Heavens Holy Land, so I hurried over. If you look for another alchemist, not to mention whether or not he will succeed, he will definitely ask you to search for soul-condensing grass again. Lu Qingjing suddenly looked at Yang Kai nervously, fearing he would also make such a request. This was only natural. Alchemists were only responsible for alchemy. The search for herbs was generally left to the cultivator. My holy land has soul-condensing grass, there is no need for you to search for it. Hearing this, Lu Qingjing was overjoyed. Many thanks, Yang Shengzhu. Many thanks, Yang Shengzhu. Trivial matter, you wait here for a while, I'll have someone help you refine it. If nothing unexpected happens, it should only take half an hour or two, Yang Kai said before taking the herbs and leaving the hall. Inside the hall, only Lu Qingjing and Shu Hui remained, as well as the maidservants who were standing indifferently. Shu Hui wore a suspicious expression. Although he didn't know much about alchemy and had never been involved in this territory before, he still knew how difficult it was to refine a spirit-grade top-rank pill. Would he be able to refine it in an hour or two? Was the Holy Master really such a powerful alchemist? What's more, the Holy Master had said this with absolute confidence, not at all worried about failure. Could that alchemist really have a 100% chance of successfully refining a pill? Shu Hui couldn't understand. Lu Qingjing was even more anxious as he sat in his chair, feeling like his back was being stabbed by needles. He wanted to stand up and walk around to relieve the anxiety in his heart, but he didn't dare act too casually in front of Shu Hui, so it was extremely difficult for him to do so. Seeing him like this, Shu Hui smiled and said, "Don't be so nervous, since my holy land has released such news, even if the refinement fails, we will compensate you in full. You can go find another alchemist to help you refine it. My holy land will not cheat you of your precious herbs." Chapter 888. Great Elder is too serious. This Lu didn't mean that. Lu Qingjing quickly waved his hand, but after listening to Shu Hui's words, he really felt relieved. Because even if the refinement failed, he didn't have to take any risks. Secretly, he felt that coming to Nine Heavens Holy Land this time was indeed the right decision. Waiting anxiously, Lu Qingjing glanced out of the hall from time to time. Shu Hui didn't say anything more and simply sat down silently. About half an hour later, Kai Yang once again arrived outside the main hall. Striding forward like a dragon or tiger, he strode in. Seeing him like this, Lu Qingjing and Shu Hui both wore excited looks, knowing that the soul-condensing pill should have been successfully refined. Yang Shengzhu. Lu Qingjing pursed his lips and called out uneasily. Yang Kai chuckled and said casually, "I didn't disappoint, the refinement was a success, although there was a small accident." Accident? Lu Qingjing's expression tightened, not knowing what Yang Kai was referring to. Take a look for yourself, you should be satisfied. Yang Kai handed over a jade bottle in his hand. Lu Qingjing quickly took it and opened the lid. In an instant, a fragrant aroma filled his nose, causing him to feel a sense of enlightenment. Achem! Shu Hui called out in surprise, also poking his head over to take a look. He felt that the medicinal efficacies contained in this spirit-grade top-rank pill were somewhat unusual. Compared to ordinary spirit-grade top-rank pills, they were much richer. Looking through the mouth of the bottle, Lu Qingjing's eyes bulged, his big hand trembling as he exclaimed, "This is pill veins?" Shu Hui also exclaimed. The two of them glanced at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. A spirit-grade top-rank pill with pill veins was no less valuable than a saint pill. Still unable to believe his eyes, Lu Qingjing quickly poured the pill out of the jade bottle and placed it on his palm to examine it carefully. This soul-condensing pill was full and round and contained a pure medicinal efficacies. Exquisite pill veins covered the pill like the meridians of a human body, flashing a faint fluorescent light. Feeling the warmth in his hand, LV Qingjing instantly confirmed that this pill had definitely just been refined. Yang Shengzhu, this. Lu Qingjing seemed to be incoherent. He thought that being able to form a pill this time was already a stroke of luck, but he didn't expect that what he got was actually a soul-condensing pill with pill veins. This was completely out of his expectations, and he was so excited that he couldn't speak. Yang Kai chuckled and casually said, "My luck is good, I managed to give birth to pill veins. My son can be saved." Lu Qingjing shouted, tears glimmering in the corners of his eyes. "Not only can it be saved, but if your son consumes it, not only can it repair his damaged divine soul, but it may also allow him to have an unexpected improvement. If your son's cultivation is not high enough, I will need you to protect him. The efficacy of this spirit pill is not inferior to that of a saint pill, so you must use it carefully. Yang Shengzhu is right. I will keep that in mind." Lu Qingjing was ecstatic, his face radiant, as if he could already see his son recovering and his spiritual energy increasing greatly. "Congratulations, Brother Lu," Shu Hui also congratulated from the side. "Many thanks, Great Elder. Many thanks, Great Elder. Many thanks, Yang Shengzhu." Lu Qingjing bowed respectfully. A moment later though, Lu Qingjing's expression suddenly became tense as he awkwardly said, "Before this Lu came here, he had only prepared a reward equivalent to a spirit-grade top-rank pill. I didn't expect this spirit pill to give birth to pill veins." His expression suddenly became serious as he quickly said, "If Holy Master Yang and Great Elder trust this humble one, after this humble one has my son take this spirit pill, this humble one will collect enough gifts to pay a visit to you." Saying so, Lu Qingjing took out the rewards he had prepared. Unsurprisingly, they were all crystal stones. Shu Hui looked towards Yang Kai inquiringly. Yang Kai smiled heartily and said lightly, "You are the first person to come to my 9 heavens holy land to request alchemy. How about I discuss this with you?" Lu Qingjing's expression became serious as he solemnly said, "Yang Shengzhu, if there is something you need, this one will not refuse. It's not a big deal. I don't need any reward, this spirit pill can be considered a gift to you." "Ah!" Lu Qingjing was taken aback. Shu Hui also didn't quite understand why Yang Kai was being so generous, but after thinking for a moment, he smiled lightly. "I have a condition that I hope you can agree to." Yang Kai didn't keep him in suspense. "Outside of my 9 heavens holy land, help me spread the news that one of my holy land's alchemy grandmasters helped you refine a spirit pill with pill veins. How about it?" "That's all. That's all," Lu Qingjing said solemnly. "This one is duty-bound. Yang Shengzhu and Great Elder can rest assured, this Lu will do everything in his power to spread this news." "Good, hurry back, your son still needs this spirit pill to save his life." Yang Kai waved his hand. Lu Qing was moved to tears and thanked him profusely before leaving. Watching him leave, Shu Hui couldn't help sighing, "What a good start." I've been waiting for a month for such a good start." Yang Kai also nodded. But this transaction was a loss. A spirit-grade top-rank pill with pill veins, that's a rare sight. If I had sold it, I would have been able to exchange it for a lot of crystal stones, Shu Hui said with some heartache. Soul-condensing pills were relatively high-end pills for repairing one's soul. Many cultivator needed them because during battle, if one wasn't careful, one's soul would be damaged. If such a thing happened, they would need these pills to repair it. It could be said that this spirit pill didn't need to worry about a market at all. On the contrary, it would be highly sought after. Don't be so short-sighted. Yang Kai chuckled. If this news were to spread, it would attract a lot of people. Holy Master's vision is truly profound. Subordinate admires him greatly. Stop flattering me. Yang Kai curled his lips. Shu Hui grinned meaningfully before whispering, Holy Master, those pill veins, were they really born out of pure luck? What do you think? Yang Kai glanced over at him. If Holy Master says so, then so be it. Shu Hui tactfully didn't ask any more questions, but he was now even more curious about the identity of the alchemy grandmaster hidden inside the Holy Land. To actually use only an hour to refine such a spirit pill, this level of attainment was simply shocking. Shu Hui had wandered the world for many years and knew many skilled alchemists. He had even made friends with several saint-grade alchemists, but he felt that none of those famous alchemists had such a level of skill. Who could it be? Shu Hui was puzzled. 5 days later, another person came to the Holy Land to ask for help with alchemy. After asking around, Shu Hui learned that this person had come to the Holy Land because he had heard about Lu Qingjing's experience. What's more, this person's purpose was surprisingly the same as Lu Qingjing's, asking to refine a spirit-grade top-rank pill. However, this time it wasn't a soul-condensing pill but a life-saving scarlet blood pill. Shu Hui led this person to the Holy Land and Yang Kai came forward to collect the herbs he had brought. Once again, half an hour later, a spirit pill was produced. That person left in a very agitated manner. This time, Yang Kai didn't ask for any reward and instead allowed this person to take away the spirit pill under the same conditions as Lu Qingjing. 3 days later, a third person came to the Holy Land to request alchemy. Yang Kai repeated the same process and even produced pill veins, causing the person who had requested alchemy to exclaim that he had never seen such a high-grade pill with pill veins before. Satisfied, he left. On this day, Yang Kai was discussing something with Li Rong at the mountain peak where the ancient demon clan resided. In the distance, the sound of fluttering robes quickly approached. Looking up, Yang Kai saw Great Elder Shu Hui rushing over, and before he had even arrived, Great Elder Shu Hui shouted excitedly, Holy Master, someone has come to request alchemy. What's the point of being so excited? Yang Kai was speechless. Li Rong, who was standing nearby, couldn't help chuckling. This time there are a lot of people, 4 or 5 of them at once, and 2 of them are Saint Realm Masters. They seem to have come to request Saint Pills, Shu Hui hurriedly reported. Oh! Finally someone wants to refine a Saint Pill? Yang Kai grinned. Helping someone refine 3 pills for free, all of them spirit-grade top rank, and of the 3 pills, 2 had even formed pill veins. His reputation really was quite attractive. Has this person been arranged in the guest hall? Yes, Shu Hui nodded. Let's go take a look. Yang Kai smiled lightly, ordering Li Rong before flying off with Shu Hui to the guest hall. Inside the guest hall, 5 cultivators sat on chairs, each of them with a fragrant cup of tea at their table. Among these 5 cultivators, there were men and women, 2 first-order saints, 1 third-order transcendent, and 2 first-order transcendents. While waiting, the 5 cultivators all looked at each other, as if they didn't know each other. Only the 2 first-order saints smiled at each other, as if they had met before. One of them asked, Why has Brother Wen also come to 9 Heaven's Holy Land? The person called Brother Wen smiled lightly. Naturally I came here for the same purpose as Brother Shongguan. So, Brother Wen also heard the news here and came to give it a try. Of course, it said that 3 people who needed to refine spirit-grade top-rank pills came here, 2 of them bringing back pills that formed pill veins while the last one obtained a pill with condensed medicinal efficacies of quite high quality. Although it didn't have pill veins, it was still better than most pills refined by alchemist. If this news is true, perhaps the alchemists here can meet my requirement. The news can't be false. Among the 3 people who were listening, a middle-aged woman suddenly interjected. The 2 Saint Realm Masters couldn't help turning their eyes to her and asking suspiciously, How do you know? Because the third person who came here to request alchemy was my big brother. The woman smiled. The pill that formed pill veins, I saw it with my own eyes. The other 4 people in the hall all looked shocked and quickly asked for more details. The middle-aged woman didn't hide anything from him and told him everything she knew. After listening, the 2 Saint Realm Masters glanced at each other, the cultivator surnamed when thoughtfully asking, "So, there really is a highly skilled alchemy grandmaster hidden here?" 3 pills, 2 of them formed pill veins. Either that person's luck was good enough or his skill was superb. I don't know which one it is, but the saint pill I want to refine, can he refine it? Chapter 889. While the 5 people in the hall were waiting, Yang Kai and Shu Hui arrived together. The 5 saints hurriedly got up, the 2 Saint Realm Masters constantly sizing up Yang Kai, as if they hadn't expected the new Holy Master to be so young and couldn't help showing some contempt. However, when they saw Shu Hui though, their expressions became dignified. Shu Hui's cultivation was a minor realm higher than theirs, a gap that they may never cross in their lifetime, so naturally they didn't dare act carelessly. Quickly bowing respectfully, Yang Kai enthusiastically greeted them and waited for them to take a seat before asking, "Are you here to perform alchemy?" Everyone nodded. "Good, give me the herbs you've prepared, tell me the name of the pill you need to refine, and wait a few hours." Seeing his casual expression, the 5 of them stared at him in a daze, and no one moved. Yang Kai glanced over at them and chuckled, "What's wrong? Aren't you here to perform alchemy? Don't tell me you haven't even prepared the herbs." "Naturally we have prepared the herbs, but dare I ask Yang Shengzhu, what is the success rate of your noble sect's alchemy grandmaster in refining the saint pill?" One of them frowned. "What if I promise you a 100% success rate?" Yang Kai grinned. The 5 people's expressions became strange, obviously not believing him, even the middle-aged woman who had seen the spirit pill form pill veins. In this world, there was no alchemist who could guarantee a 100% success rate. Even the best alchemist would sometimes fail. This was the risk one had to bear in order to perform alchemy. Unless this statement was made by the old man of Heaven's Keep, there was no credibility. This new holy master of 9 heavens holy land, isn't he a bit too young and frivolous? The 5 people thought to themselves at the same time, their originally somewhat hopeful mood suddenly turning into one of worry. "What's wrong?" Shu Hui observed the 5 people's hesitant expressions and suddenly became unhappy. "Do you think my holy land's alchemist can't refine the saint pill you want?" "We wouldn't dare." The man's expression changed and he frowned, but it wasn't easy for this when to collect these saint-grade materials. If the refinement fails, it won't be easy to collect them all again. That's why I was a little more cautious. I hope that Yang Shengzhu and Great Elder can forgive me. Yang Kai nodded lightly. "I can understand your caution, but if you want to refine a saint pill, no matter which alchemist you go to, you will have to bear the risk of failure. Naturally, it is the same for me. But I can assure you that in my holy land, this risk is minimal, and there might even be some unexpected gains." Pill veins. Hearing him say this, the 5 people's eyes lit up. The middle-aged woman said, "Since none of you are willing to give it a try, then let me do it. What I want to refine is not a saint pill, but a high-grade spirit-level pill. Even if I fail, it won't take me much effort to collect the materials, and I won't have to worry about any losses." As he spoke, he took out the medicinal herbs he had brought. The other 4 didn't show any intention of snatching them, all of them preparing to see the methods of this 9 heavens holy land alchemist with their own eyes before deciding what to do next. Knowing what they were thinking, Yang Kai didn't care and simply instructed Shu Hui to accept the herbs before leaving. The 5 people continued to wait in the hall. Half an hour later, Shu Hui reappeared in the hall with a proud look on his face. The 5 people quickly stood up and stared at him eagerly, wanting to know what the result would be. Shu Hui casually tossed a jade bottle over and said lightly, "Take a look for yourself and see what kind of level my holy land's alchemist has." The middle-aged woman took it and couldn't wait to open the bottle and pour out a dark blue pill. The next moment, a cry of surprise rang out. Pill veins. Pill veins again. This spirit-grade top-rank pill had really been refined with pill veins, greatly increasing its medicinal efficacies and increasing its value several times over. The middle-aged woman couldn't contain her joy and squeezed the pill in her hand, her pretty face blooming like a flower. The two Saint Realm Masters glanced at each other and saw the amazement in each other's eyes. If the rumors were true, including the one in front of them, this alchemy Grandmaster hidden in 9 Heavens Holy Land had only refined a total of 4 pills. All of them were spirit-grade top-rank pills. Of these 4, 3 had pill veins, something that could only be discovered but not sought. The probability was almost 80%. Ordinary alchemists, even those famous saint-grade alchemists, would have to spend a great deal of effort to refine such a spirit pill. They might spend years or even decades before they could occasionally obtain one. But here in 9 Heavens Holy Land, pills with pill veins were as if they didn't cost money, appearing one after the other. How sensational was this? My family's Holy Master said that Grandmaster is in a good mood today, so if he wants to refine a pill, he should hurry. After a few hours, if Grandmaster is in a bad mood, he may not be able to refine anything. Shu Hui raised his head proudly and said faintly, "Great Elder, these are the herbs this one has brought." When the 4 of them heard this, they no longer hesitated and rushed forward, scrambling to be the first to hand over the herbs they had concocted, fearing that the mysterious master would really be in a bad mood and not feel good to the touch. Being able to refine a spirit-grade top-rank pill with pill veins, this Grandmaster was naturally capable of refining a saint pill. Shu Hui didn't embarrass them too much and happily accepted the rewards handed over by the middle-aged woman before leaving calmly. This kind of business couldn't continue to lose money, so it was time to collect some kind of reward. The middle-aged woman was also honest and prepared a reward equivalent to the spirit pill she had requested to be refined. After half an hour, Shu Hui returned again, bringing back 2 spirit pills which he handed over to the 2 saints who had requested to be refined. Although these 2 spirit pills didn't have pill veins, their quality was surprisingly high, so although the 2 saints felt somewhat regretful, they were still satisfied with the rewards and left. Only the 2 Saint Realm Masters remained in the hall, waiting anxiously, as if they were sitting on pins and needles. From time to time, they would stand up and look around, hoping Shu Hui would appear and bring back the refined saint pills. However, they also knew that refining a saint pill was fundamentally different from refining a spirit-grade pill. The amount of time and energy required to refine a saint pill was exponentially greater, so there was no point in being anxious. So they decided to be patient. More than an hour later, inside the Holy Master Court, Yang Kai summoned Shu Hui, who had been waiting outside. Walking into Yang Kai's room, Shu Hui immediately smelled a rich pill fragrance, causing his expression to shake slightly as he began looking around. He wanted to know who was helping these people perform alchemy and who had such a miraculous method. Unfortunately, after looking around for a while, Shu Hui came up empty-handed. "The pills are refined, take them first, don't rush to give them to them. It won't be too late to hand them over to them tomorrow morning." Hearing this, Shu Hui thought for a moment before nodding lightly, taking the 2 saint pills and asking, "Does Holy Master want them to know that refining saint pills is not easy?" Yang Kai glanced over at him and said lightly, "I just want them to know that if they doubt the level of my Holy Land's alchemist, they will be punished." Shu Hui didn't know whether to laugh or cry and didn't say anything more, but his eyes kept darting around. Seeing Shu Hui not willing to leave and instead looking around, Yang Kai smiled and asked, "Are you looking for that alchemy Grandmaster?" Shu Hui grinned meaningfully before lowering his voice and asking, "Holy Master, when did my Holy Land receive such a Grandmaster? How come even this old master didn't know about him? He has worked so hard to help my Holy Land survive this crisis, so I should offer my thanks to him. After all, I am the Holy Land's great elder. Do you want to know who he is?" Yang Kai looked at him with a smile. Shu Hui nodded seriously. "What if I told you that the one who refined these pills was me?" "Holy Master must be joking." Shu Hui said with a look of disbelief, "Holy Master, at such a young age you have already reached the 3rd order transcendent realm, a dragon among men. In the future, your achievements will not be inferior to those of previous Holy Masters, this old master firmly believes. But if you say that you are also proficient in alchemy while cultivating, this old master doesn't believe it. A Grandmaster who can refine saint pills must have at least been immersed in this field for 100 years, the flowing time great emperor. Holy Master is still too young. Even if you began alchemy in your mother's womb, it would still be impossible for you to possess such skill. If you don't believe me, then so be it. Yang Kai spat disdainfully, not bothering to explain further. Ah! Shu Hui was stunned, becoming more and more curious about this hidden alchemy grandmaster, but since Yang Kai didn't want to say anything, he had no choice but to leave. Early the next morning, Shu Hui arrived at the main hall. The two First Order saints had been waiting all night, their eyes bloodshot, so when they saw Shu Hui appear, they immediately rushed up and eagerly asked, "Great Elder, how is it?" As they spoke, their expressions became tense, fearing they would hear some bad news from Shu Hui. With their strength reaching such a level, they generally had a high status and didn't need to worry about crystal stones. However, as one of them had said before, the saint-grade materials they had painstakingly collected were not easy to find. Some of them couldn't be bought even if one had enough money, all of them had to be found by themselves, traversing mountains and rivers. Of course, luck played a large role in this. If the refinement failed, although the Holy Land would compensate them, it wouldn't compensate them with herbs, only a corresponding amount of crystal stones. They would then have to search for or purchase other materials. Seeing these two like this, Shu Hui felt an inexplicable sense of pleasure in his heart and proudly declared, "My Holy Land's Grandmaster has taken action, how could he fail? I really don't know what you're worried about. So, take this." Shu Hui handed over the 2 jade bottles to them before reaching out and brushing off the non-existent dust on his robes. "If you need a saint pill refined next time, just come to my Holy Land, I guarantee you'll be satisfied." The 2 men checked the pills in the jade bottles and their expressions suddenly filled with surprise, one of them quickly praising, "Your noble Holy Land's Grandmaster's methods are truly amazing, he will definitely come again next time." "Right. I have many friends who are worried about not being able to find a suitable grandmaster for alchemy. I wonder if your noble Holy Land's grandmaster can help them refine saint pills?" The other man quickly expressed that he also had many friends and relatives who were experiencing the same situation. Chapter 890. Saint-grade alchemists were extremely rare. Each one of them was a manager of the Alchemist Guild in a major city, and there were too many people requesting them for alchemy. Many people had to wait several years or even longer before it was their turn. However, Nine Heavens Holy Land was different. Its alchemy reputation had only just begun, so there were not many people requesting alchemy services yet. Seeing them express their intentions to introduce their friends and family to Nine Heavens Holy Land for alchemy, Shu Hui found them pleasing to the eye and smiled heartily. "Good, as long as you bring enough compensation, my Holy Land's Grandmaster will naturally act." "Of course." The 2 nodded repeatedly before taking their saint pills and quickly leaving, preparing to inform their friends and family who were unable to find a way to obtain alchemy services here. Time flew by and soon, a month had passed. Outside the 9 Peaks, people were bustling with activity, and it was extraordinarily lively. These Transcendent Realm cultivator were lined up in a long line, waiting anxiously outside the 9 Peaks, all of them wearing different expressions. All of these people had come here to ask the Holy Land for help in refining pills. Over the past month, more and more people had come to the 9 Peaks to request alchemy services. At the beginning, only a few cultivators would come here to try their luck, 1 or 2 every 3 to 5 days, but as the cultivator who obtained a spirit-grade pill and saint pill left, more and more people were attracted to this place. Gradually, people came every day. Sometimes it was 1 or 2 people who came alone, and sometimes it was a group of people who came together. Later, more and more people came, more and more frequently. This was how the current situation had developed. Outside the 9 Peaks, there were at least a few dozen Transcendent Realm Masters waiting. Holy Land Elder Luo Sheng and Meng Tianfei led some Holy Land disciples to the side to maintain order. Those who had come from afar were guests, so the Holy Land disciples provided tea and a place to rest for these cultivators who were waiting to enter the Holy Land. However, if anyone dared to disobey the Holy Land's rules and tried to forcibly cut the line, regardless of their cultivation, they would be driven out. This was an order given by Yang Kai, and the 2 Holy Land elders spared no effort in carrying it out. "Why isn't it our turn to enter yet?" At the front of the line, a person raised his head and muttered anxiously. Soon, It will be our turn in the next batch, one of his companions said expectantly. That's right. Don't worry. We've only been waiting here for a few days. If we were to go somewhere else, we might not even get our turn after waiting for a few years. The third person also comforted him. That's true. The man's mood suddenly became much better and he began chatting with a few people nearby. I heard that since this alchemy Grandmaster of Nine Heavens Holy Land began, he has never failed. Whether it is refining a spirit-grade pill or a saint pill, every time he succeeds, his customers will leave satisfied. That's not all. Many of those who concocted spirit pills obtained pills with pill veins. Are you serious? Is there really such a thing as pill veins? I also heard that there are indeed quite a few spirit pills with pill veins. Then wouldn't the reward be several times higher? Nine Heavens Holy Land seems to only accept an ordinary spirit-grade pill as a reward, but if you give them more, they won't refuse. Of course I have to give them more to leave a good impression. Maybe the next time I come to ask for a pill, things will go a bit smoother. Heh, I've prepared a bit more reward. Maybe if my luck is good, the pill I want to refine will form pill veins. This Grandmaster is really amazing. With such skill, he should at least be a saint-grade mid-rank alchemist, right? I'm afraid besides the old man of Heaven's Keep, he is the most powerful alchemist in this world. There seems to be more than one saint-grade alchemist here. Why do you say that? Haven't you noticed how fast they can perform alchemy? Every day, they can refine at least 10 pills for at least one person. These pills are all spirit-grade top rank and above, many of them saint-grade. How could a single Grandmaster be so busy? Could it be that Nine Heavens Holy Land is hiding several Grandmasters of this level? As soon as this statement came out, everyone was horrified. Saint-grade alchemists were extremely rare. Every great force hoped to have such a master in their sect, but in this world, there were only a few. Even if there were, these alchemists would only work for their own sect, never helping outsiders in alchemy. What's more, these alchemists had a very high status, perhaps once every few months or even a year, spending most of their time leisurely enjoying the pleasures of life. On the other hand, the Nine Heavens Holy Land's alchemy grandmasters were so busy this past month that they didn't even have time to drink water. They were simply good people who benefited the world and were respected and worshipped by all. Such whispers spread throughout the waiting cultivator, all of them shocked by the heritage of Nine Heavens Holy Land. The only thing that made people feel a little regretful was that the Grandmasters of Nine Heavens Holy Land would only refine one pill per person, no more than that. However, Grandmasters were all eccentric people, so the cultivator who came to ask for pills could understand. After a long time, a group of people suddenly walked out from the 9 peaks. There were exactly 10 of them, no matter how high or low their cultivations were, whether they were male or female, old or young. All of them held their heads high and puffed out their chests, a look of satisfaction on their faces. They're out. The group that went in yesterday has come out. Exclamations sounded from the group. A busybody asked, "Everyone, how was the refining of your pills?" Among the 10 people who came out, an old man laughed and said, "The Grandmasters of Nine Heavens Holy Land are truly worthy of their reputation. All of the pills the 10 of us requested were successfully refined without a single failure. What's more, this old master's saint-grade low-rank pill even formed pill veins, ha 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 ha." Facing the heavens, this old man let out a hearty laugh, his face filled with excitement and pride. The other 9 people all stared at him with envious eyes. The others in the group were also dumbfounded, staring at this old man with bloodshot eyes, all of them wishing they could rush up and knock him out and snatch his saint pill. A saint pill that formed pill veins was a once-in-a-century treasure. Its value was immeasurable. However, upon realizing the level of this old man's cultivation, everyone had no choice but to dispel such thoughts. This old man was at least a second-order saint. "Everyone, please wait a moment, I wish you all the same good luck, this old master will take his leave first." The old man seemed to be in a particularly good mood. Normally, a master like him would act arrogantly, so how could he speak to others? But today, not only was he chattering endlessly, he was even trying to be polite. Saying so, Luo Shang and Meng Tianfei, who were maintaining order outside, politely cupped their fists and quickly left. After he left for a while, the people waiting in line woke up from their stupor, all of them staring at him expectantly. Two elders. Can you let us in now? I've been waiting for several days now, it's finally my turn, the person at the front of the line called out. Luo Sheng and Meng Tianfei glanced at each other and nodded lightly, Luo Sheng calling out, "The 10 friends at the front of the line, please follow my Holy Land's disciples into the guest hall, there will naturally be someone to entertain you there. After the 10 of you enter, please continue to wait. Everyone, please." A Holy Land disciple at the front of the line gestured. The 10 cultivators at the front of the line immediately swarmed in like they had been injected with chicken blood, pushing and shoving one another, none of them willing to back down, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The rest of the people continued to wait in the long line, their hearts burning with anxiety. The two elders walked to the side and looked at this exciting scene. They were very happy. "Brother Meng, do you think our Holy Master is an alchemy grandmaster? Isn't his level a bit too high?" Meng Tianfei shook his head. "If you ask me, who should I ask? I've also discussed this matter with Great Elder, but even Great Elder doesn't know what this grandmaster is like or where he came from, but he should be a friend our Holy Master has made outside. Amazing, to be able to have such a grandmaster work for the Holy Land, the Holy Master's methods are extraordinary. Thanks to the alchemy rewards we received during this time, the Holy Land situation has suddenly improved, and the disciples no longer need to worry about cultivation materials. When we can ask those grandmasters to help us refine some saint pills, it would be even better. Don't worry, we'll just have to ask the Holy Master one day, there won't be any problems." "That may be the case, but from the looks of it, I don't know when that master will be free." Saying so, the two elders turned their eyes to the distance where a group of people was approaching Nine Heavens' Holy Land. There was no doubt that this group of people were also here to request alchemy. As one group left, another group would appear, the number of people would only continue to grow. The two elders felt both happy and distressed, sighing heavily. This group of people was quite large, 4 or 5 in total. When they arrived, Luo Sheng stepped forward and instructed them to line up at the end of the line. Over the past few days, Luo Sheng and Meng Tianfei had to receive at least 2 or 3 waves of guests like this every day, and as time passed, the number of people coming increased. Just after arranging these people, the two elders saw Shu Hui fly out from the 9 peaks. Immediately shaking, the two elders rushed over to greet him. A short time later, Great Elder Shu Hui arrived outside the 9 peaks and glanced at the long line before him. "So many people." "Yes, Great Elder, the reputation of our Holy Land's alchemy is becoming more and more resounding," Luo Sheng smiled bitterly. "That's only natural, the fact that there is no precedent of failure is already a legend. No alchemist in this world can achieve such a feat, except for the grandmasters of my Holy Land." Shu Hui's expression was full of pride. "Does Great Elder have something to say?" Meng Tianfei asked. Pass on the Holy Master's order." Shu Hui nodded, turning to the long line of people and shouting, "Everyone, this old master is Nine Heavens Holy Land's Great Elder, Shu Hui. Greetings." Everyone quickly returned the greeting, not daring to show the slightest neglect. Shu Hui's expression shook. He had never felt so spirited before, even when the old Holy Master was alive, he had never felt such a sense of grandeur. Continuing to shout, "Pass on the Holy Master's order, may I ask if anyone has any world spirit treasures?" Most people shook their heads, indicating that they did not have such a thing, but some whispered among themselves, guessing what the Holy Master wanted this thing for. Chapter 891. World spirit treasures were simply too rare and difficult to obtain. Some cultivators might not even see one in their lifetime. This was because world spirit treasures possessed a certain degree of sentience and could be regarded as a kind of sentient being that knew how to seek fortune and avoid disaster. When they sensed danger, they would flee, making them extremely difficult to find. Shu Hui observed everyone's expressions and chuckled, "You may rest assured, my Holy Land is not asking for your wealth. The Holy Master has said that if anyone has a world spirit treasure, regardless of its grade or type, as long as they hand it over to my Holy Land, the Holy Land's Grandmaster will refine 3 pills for them for free. What's more, the pills will be refined immediately, No need to wait in line. As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd went into an uproar. When a Grandmaster of 9 Heavens Holy Land helped someone perform alchemy, the reward wasn't high, but it wasn't low either. The reward was crystal stones or herbs of equivalent value to the pill being refined. Such a reward was something most people could afford. Because saint-grade materials were difficult to find, some people didn't lack crystal stones. However, if the reward was 3 pills, it was a considerable number, enough to tempt many people. Someone in the line asked, "Great Elder, is there no limit to the grade of 3 pills you can refine for free?" Shu Hui smiled and shook his head. "There is no limit to the grade, even if you want to refine a saint-grade mid-rank pill. Your noble Holy Land's Grandmaster is quite bold," the man exclaimed, causing everyone else to be stunned. Although until now, no one had requested to refine a saint-grade mid-rank pill, from Shu Hui's words, it could be inferred that this Grandmaster was capable of refining such a pill and had full confidence in his own skills. So if you have world spirit treasures on hand, please don't hide them, this is a rare opportunity. Shu Hui chuckled and persuaded. He didn't know whether this group of people had world spirit treasures or not, nor did he know why Yang Kai wanted them, but since the Holy Master had given him an order, he had no choice but to comply. At the end of the line, someone from the group who had just arrived hesitated for a moment before asking, "Great Elder, can any world spirit treasure be refined?" "Anything is fine," Shu Hui nodded firmly before turning his eyes to this person. The man's expression became solemn as he asked again, "But what if I only want to refine 1 pill? As for the remaining 2 pills, my Holy Land will help you remember them. Whenever you want to refine them, you can come at any time. There's no need to wait." "So that's how it is." The man's expression became somewhat eager as he carefully took out a jade artifact from his sleeve and jogged over to Shu Hui, handing it over. "Great Elder, please take a look at this." As he spoke, he had an expectant look on his face, but at the same time, he felt somewhat uneasy. This person was no more than 30 years old and his strength wasn't high, only at the peak immortal ascension boundary. With such a cultivation, the pill he requested to be refined was at most a spirit-grade top-rank pill. What's more, as a cultivator, he had never had the opportunity to speak directly with a master like Shu Hui, so naturally he was quite excited to have such an opportunity today. Shu Hui's brow furrowed as he took the delicate jade artifact and was about to open it. That person hurriedly said, "Be careful, Great Elder. This thing runs very fast. If you don't pay attention, it will slip away. Back then, this one obtained it by chance. I don't even recognize what it is. It's really shameful to say this." "Don't worry." Shu Hui smiled confidently, wrapping up the jade artifact with his powerful divine sense, not leaving the slightest gap. Many people stretched out their necks, wanting to see what this world spirit treasure was. Even the 2 elders, Luo Sheng and Meng Tianfei, came over. When the jade artifact was opened, in an instant, a faint light bloomed from inside, like a crystal-clear moonlight. Seemingly aware that the jade artifact that had been closed for so long had been opened, the light rushed out. Shu Hui chuckled lightly, his expression indifferent. Wrapped up by his divine sense, the light was unable to break through, constantly circling around a small area, seemingly quite anxious. After a while, the light gradually condensed into the shape of a 3-leaved spirit grass. This spirit grass exuded a strong energy fluctuation and exuded a vigorous vitality. Its entire body was crystal clear, as if it had been carved from white jade, giving it a very delicate appearance. The 3 leaves were also tender and fresh, as if they were formed from water droplets. "It really is a world spirit treasure." Shu Hui's eyes lit up as he gently nodded. With his eyesight, he was naturally able to see that this spirit grass was indeed a world spirit treasure, because it already possessed a certain degree of sentience. "Does anyone recognize what kind of world spirit treasure this is?" Shu Hui asked the people who had come to ask for alchemy pills. Most people shook their heads, only one person chuckling, "Great Elder, this is a shimmering moongrass. After absorbing the essence of the moon, it has developed sentience. Although it is a kind of world spirit treasure, unfortunately, its growth period is too short. Currently, it only has 3 leaves, so I'm afraid it won't be of much use. If it were allowed to grow for another 100 years and reach 5 leaves, its value would be completely different. Oh, Your Excellency seems to be quite familiar with this. Shu Hui looked at him with a smile. My apologies. This one is quite interested in spirit grasses and spirit medicines. 30 years ago, I set my goal as an alchemist, but unfortunately, my aptitude was too low and I was unable to make any achievements in this field, so I gave up and began cultivating the martial Tao. So that's how it is. Shu Hui nodded. An alchemist's understanding of spirit grasses and spirit medicines was indeed more profound than the average person. Although this person hadn't become an outstanding alchemist, his knowledge of spirit grasses and spirit medicines was still incomparable to the average person. Is this not possible? The owner of the shimmering moon grass scratched his head, somewhat uneasy. Others had said that this shimmering moon grass didn't have much value, causing him to hesitate. However, the other party had promised to refine 3 pills. Could a single shimmering moon grass offset that? No. To his surprise, Shu Hui smiled and shook his head, since this old master has already said that no matter what grade or species it is, as long as it is a world spirit treasure, naturally he will not go back on his word. Good, this old master will accept this shimmering moon grass. Little brother, come with me. Grandmaster can immediately help you refine pills. Excellent. The man was overjoyed. He had only just arrived here today, so if he had wanted to wait, it would have taken him at least 6 or 7 days and he would have had to pay a reward equal to the value of the pills he requested. But a mere stalk of moonlight grass had allowed him to beat others to it, and even allowed that grandmaster to concoct 3 pills, regardless of the grade. In the future, when he found the necessary materials, he would come here and ask the grandmaster to refine 2 more saint pills. If he was lucky enough to produce pill veins, he would be able to sell them and his life path would immediately change. This man fantasized in his heart, feeling as if his whole body was floating, as if a beautiful tomorrow was beckoning to him. Wait! Suddenly, someone in the group shouted. Shu Hui frowned and glanced over at this person, discovering that it was a Saint Realm Master, causing him to become somewhat displeased. What advice does Your Excellency have for me? No. The Saint Realm Master laughed dryly. Great Elder, please wait a moment, allow me to speak a few words with this little brother. Shu Hui stared at him for a moment before nodding lightly. Then please hurry, the Holy Master is still waiting for this old master's reply. Many thanks, Great Elder. The man quickly thanked him and then walked over to the Peak Immortal Ascension Boundary Cultivator and began speaking to him in a friendly manner. He deliberately lowered his voice so that even if others were suspicious, they couldn't understand what they were talking about. All they saw was that the owner of the shimmering moongrass was somewhat reluctant at first, but after the Saint Realm Master said a few words, he immediately became excited and nodded repeatedly. Among the crowd, many people wore pensive looks, seemingly having guessed what the two were talking about. After a while, the Saint Realm Master and the owner of the shimmering moongrass finished talking and seemed to have reached some kind of consensus, both sides seeming quite happy. Before Shu Hui had time to call out to the other party to follow him into 9 Heavens Holy Land, several more Saint Realm Masters surrounded the owner of the shimmering moongrass. A fierce quarrel broke out. The owner of the shimmering moongrass was in a dilemma. He didn't dare offend any of these Saint Realm Masters, so in desperation he could only shout, "Seniors, please make a bid, the highest bidder wins." Hearing this, the several Saint Realm Masters immediately put out their own bids, not willing to back down. Hearing this, Shu Hui didn't know whether to laugh or cry, suddenly understanding what the owner of the shimmering moongrass was doing. The Holy Land had promised to help him refine 3 pills, regardless of grade, for free. Inspired by the first cultivator who had approached him, he actually wanted to sell these 3 chances. 3 chances meant 3 rewards, the benefits he could obtain were not small. Slowly shaking his head, Shu Hui didn't stop him. Since the Holy Land had given him such an opportunity, it was no longer convenient for him to intervene in this matter. After a while, the owner of the shimmering moongrass ran over happily and flatteringly said, "I've made Great Elder wait a long time, let's go in." Shu Hui glanced over at him with a smile. "Are you satisfied with the benefits they gave you?" The man smiled awkwardly, "Satisfied, very satisfied, but there shouldn't be any problem, right?" "Of course there's no problem, the Holy Land gave you 3 chances, how you use them is up to you." "That's good, That's good. Such great benefits falling from the sky made him a little dizzy. Those Saint Realm masters weren't willing to wait outside like everyone else, so the benefits they offered were almost the same as the Saint Pill's reward. It was equivalent to the owner of this shimmering moongrass taking away the reward that should have belonged to the Holy Land, while all he had to offer was a low-grade world spirit treasure. For an immortal ascension boundary cultivator, this kind of thing was simply the greatest opportunity in his life. Leading this man into the guest hall, Shu Hui took away the 3 sets of materials he had brought, then immediately rushed to the Holy Master Court. Inside a small room, the fragrance of pills filled the air as Yang Kai sat in meditation, a small pill furnace in front of him. Shu Hui walked in and reported the matter. Yang Kai gently nodded, took the herbs and the shimmering moongrass, and said, "Come pick them up when I call for you." Yes. After Shu Hui left, Yang Kai put the shimmering moongrass into the black book space and also sent his consciousness inside. A wisp of moonlight was shuttling back and forth inside the black book space, seemingly in a panic, trying to find a safe haven to take refuge in. The divine tree curiously looked at this wisp of moonlight, its divine sense locked onto it as it observed it. Chapter 892. The divine tree's actions caused the shimmering moongrass to become even more flustered, and after hiding for a moment, it plunged into the myriad drug liquid. In an instant, the shimmering moongrass calmed down, and at a rate visible to the naked eye, it absorbed some of the myriad drug liquid, causing its 3 leaves to glow with a brilliant moonlight. Yang Kai's face went black, and just as he was about to pull the shimmering moongrass out of the myriad drug liquid, the divine tree acted first. An invisible force wrapped around the 3-leaved spirit grass and pulled it out. Immediately, Yang Kai felt that the divine tree's divine sense seemed to be communicating with the shimmering moongrass. Smiling slightly, Yang Kai paused. After a while, the divine tree replied, "I've already reprimanded it and will keep an eye on it so it won't enter that place at will. However, this little thing's consciousness is the same as mine a long time ago, not complete, so communicating with it will be a bit difficult." "Is this the world spirit treasure you mentioned before?" Yang Kai chuckled, "Take your time, one day you'll be able to communicate with it smoothly. If there's a chance, I'll find you some other world spirit treasures so you'll have company." "Good." The divine tree responded. Yang Kai had asked Shu Hui to find those world spirit treasures and ask about them when he suddenly remembered that he had promised the divine tree before. There were many people who had come to ask for pills from all over the world, so there was bound to be someone who was lucky enough to obtain a world spirit treasure. Yang Kai hadn't expected to succeed so quickly, but unexpectedly, his luck was quite good and some people in this group really did possess such a thing and were willing to take it out. After observing for a while and confirming that there were no problems, Yang Kai's consciousness left the black book space and continued his alchemy practice. For more than a month, Yang Kai had been performing alchemy in this place, not leaving even half a step. Spirit-grade top-rank and saint-grade low-rank pills, countless of them had been refined by Yang Kai without a single failure. Because of his conflagrated knowledge C and his mastery of many exquisite alchemy spirit arrays, Yang Kai's alchemy speed was much faster than ordinary alchemists. With his current attainments, refining a spirit-grade top-rank pill would take less than a stick of incense worth of time and a saint-grade low-rank pill would only take half an hour. Every day, no more and no less, Yang Kai would refine 10 pills. The rest of the time was used to recover and comprehend the gains from the alchemy process. He was enjoying it. He didn't feel annoyed or depressed at all. With a large number of high-grade herbs to practice on, his previous conjecture about the elixir veins was also confirmed in practice. It was true that pill veins could be artificially refined, but it required a great deal of effort. Before the pill was formed, countless spirit arrays had to be fused together and refined into the pill. Once it was successful, it would form pill veins, and the pill would be able to last for a long time without deteriorating. He could now casually refine a spirit-grade high-grade pill with pill veins, but for a saint-grade pill, he still had to rely on luck. Sometimes, if he wasn't skilled enough, he wouldn't be able to form pill veins. During the process of alchemy, Yang Kai frequently used his conflagrated spiritual energy. After more than a month, not only did he not feel tired, He even faintly felt that his conflagrated spiritual energy had become purer and denser. The insights gained from alchemy would also become a kind of cultivation experience, accumulating and fermenting, stabilizing one's cultivation base and making one's strength increase by leaps and bounds. Alchemy and the martial Tao complemented each other and combined together, advancing hand in hand and progressing at a rapid pace. Even without deliberately cultivating, his cultivation was still steadily increasing. At this rate, within 3 to 5 years, Yang Kai felt that he would be able to touch the threshold of the Saint Realm. If there were other opportunities, this time would be shortened even further. After reaching the third-order transcendent realm, Yang Kai was only one step away from breaking through to the Saint Realm. Unlike Yuan Qi breaking through to the immortal ascension boundary or transcendent realm from the immortal ascension boundary, this step into the Saint Realm was more difficult than ever before. The medicinal liquid of the 1,000-year demon flower could be used to assist a transcendent realm cultivator in their breakthrough. Yang Kai still had 2 drops he had refined in the starry sky last time and had not yet used up. At that time, he had condensed a total of 6 drops of medicinal liquid, giving 4 to Tsangyan and the others while keeping the rest in Yang Kai's black book space. The medicinal liquid of the 1,000-year demon flower did not have any side effects. Kang Yang, Fei Yu, and her other martial uncles had used it to break through to the first-order saint realm, so their foundation had not been affected, nor would it hinder their future cultivation. However, Yang Kai did not intend to use external aids for the time being, instead deciding to use his own strength to try to break through first. Only by comprehending and understanding one's own strength would he gain the most profound insights. Alchemy was the best support for this, allowing Yang Kai to experience many unexpected gains during the process of alchemy, allowing his body and mind to be cleansed and his soul to sublimate. Days passed by. 9 Heavens Holy Land's alchemy reputation quickly spread throughout Tongxian realm. There was someone who had traveled hundreds of thousands of miles and had spared no effort to come here just to ask the mysterious master in the Holy Land to refine a pill for him. Outside the 9 peaks, there was a long line that stretched for several kilometers. Every day, there would be hundreds of people waiting, and more alchemists would join in. The unknown Grandmaster of the Holy Land was a master of alchemy. Ever since he began refining pills, he had never failed and had even managed to refine many pills with pill veins. Gradually, some people began to compare this Grandmaster with the Old Man of Heaven's Keep, wondering who would win if the two were to compete. However, the Old Man of Heaven's Keep was a legendary figure. Even among the demon race and monster race, this Grandmaster had a great reputation and was revered by all living beings in the world. This alone was not something the Grandmaster of 9 Heavens Holy Land could compare with. As his reputation spread, those who came to ask for alchemy were no longer limited to spirit-grade top-rank and saint-grade low-rank pills, but even saint-grade mid-rank pills. 9 Heavens Holy Land did not refuse anyone, allowing those who came to ask for alchemy to leave satisfied. Every time a pill was refined, the Holy Land would receive a reward equal to the value of the pill. Shu Hui and the other elders were now grinning from ear to ear every day, all of their previous worries swept away. The Holy Land's warehouse was now filled with a variety of crystal stones and various cultivation materials, the amount of reserves reaching an astonishing level. This was especially true after the mysterious Grandmaster changed the rule of refining 20 pills a day from 10 pills a day, allowing the Holy Land to obtain more and more benefits. Many people who came to ask for alchemy were not only given a reward equal to the value of the pill they refined, but also more as a form of thanks. This caused Shu Hui to wonder if there was more than one alchemy Grandmaster in the Holy Land. If not, how could a single Grandmaster refine 20 pills a day? There should be at least 3, perhaps even more. Shu Hui secretly speculated. The ancient demon clan leaders were well aware that the current prosperity of the Holy Land was probably caused by Yang Kai, but they did not mention this to Shu Hui and the others. After receiving a lot of cultivation materials from the Holy Land, Yang Kai focused on developing himself, never leaving the mountain peak where he lived so as to avoid being discovered and causing trouble. When it came to the cultivation materials provided to the ancient demon clan, Shu Hui didn't show any intention of shortchanging them. On the contrary, he was extremely generous. If there was anything the ancient demon clan needed, he would bring it to them, causing Li Rong to feel very grateful. Outside the 9 Peaks, there was a newly built stone pavilion. Inside the stone pavilion were several exquisite stone benches and a stone table with a pot of tea on top of it. The 2 elders, Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong, sat inside the stone pavilion, staring at the long line of people, sipping tea as they whispered to one another. With so many people coming to ask for alchemy pills, every day there would be 2 elders here to maintain order. Today, it was Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong's turn. The 2 beautiful women had different temperaments, but they had the same graceful figure, plump breasts, snake-like waists, slender and beautiful legs, and perky buttocks that outlined a beautiful arc that could captivate one's soul. It was as if they had become the most beautiful scenery outside the 9 Peaks. The people who came to ask for alchemy pills were all bored, so many of them cast eager glances towards the 2 elders, looking for some spiritual comfort. Perceiving the strange gazes of these people, although Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong were not happy, they had no choice but to ignore them and order the Holy Land disciples to form a circle around the stone pavilion to prevent others from looking in. Although it was said to be maintaining order, there was actually no need to do anything. Most of the people who came here were very honest and did not try to cut in line or bully others. Occasionally, there would be some ignorant fellows who tried to take advantage of their status to forcibly occupy a good spot, but the Holy Land's people didn't even need to take action. The masters at the front of the line would spontaneously make them obey. Most of the people who came to ask for alchemy pills were transcendents, but there was no lack of saints. Once something that provoked public anger was done, the result would naturally not be good. Therefore, Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong simply drank water and chatted inside the stone pavilion to pass the time. At the end of the long line, 2 women and a middle-aged man were waiting. The middle-aged man looked a little impatient, glancing around from time to time before sighing slightly. There were hundreds of people waiting in front of him. The Holy Land's Grandmaster refined 20 pills a day, so when it was his turn, it would take at least a month. When one of the 2 women looked in the direction of the 9 Peaks, her beautiful eyes seemed to contain some indescribable complex emotions. After a long time, the middle-aged man suddenly whispered, "Xian aren't you acquainted with the Holy Master of 9 Heavens' Holy Land? Can you ask him to help your father refine pills first? That Grandmaster is a member of 9 Heavens' Holy Land, shouldn't he listen to his orders? I only know him and don't have much of a friendship, how could I ask him for help? Perhaps he has already forgotten about me." The woman smiled bitterly. As soon as these words came out, the other woman next to her sneered, "Don't have much of a friendship? Isn't that wrong? You're Xin Yu." The woman glared at her companion, causing the latter to quickly raise her hand. "Fine, I won't say anything. This is your own destiny, you can choose for yourself, don't regret it in the future." The middle-aged man observed her expression and chuckled, "Xian whether it works or not, you should at least try. No matter what, that Holy Master used to be a member of my bold independent union, shouldn't you at least consider some old sentiments? He's never been a member of Bold Independent Union, why do you always think he used to be a disciple of Bold Independent Union?" The woman stomped her foot, "It's fine to say such things in front of me, but don't say such things in front of others, it'll make them think we're trying to curry favor with them." Chapter 893. Hearing his daughter say so, the middle-aged man smiled awkwardly. Bold Independent Union wasn't a very strong force, and as the Union Master of Bold Independent Union, he was only a third-order transcendent. In this world, any force without a Saint Realm Master would always be despised by others. As such, he had spent his entire life striving to reach the Saint Realm. A few days ago, he had finally seen a glimmer of hope, but because of his lack of aptitude, he was unable to comprehend the mysteries of the Saint Realm, so he wanted to find someone to refine a Heaven's Secret pill to see if he could use its power to break through to the Saint Realm. After expending a huge amount of financial resources and manpower to gather all the necessary materials, he was unable to find a suitable alchemist to help him refine this pill. The famous alchemy grandmasters of this world were all very arrogant and would not easily accept outsiders. Their schedule for alchemy was always 1 or 2 days later, so the middle-aged man repeatedly ran into a wall and was unable to meet any of the grandmasters. It was at this time that the reputation of Nine Heavens Holy Land's alchemy grandmaster spread, shaking his spirit and secretly feeling that this was an opportunity. Because his daughter had some friendship with this holy master, he even suspected that the relationship between the two was not simple. Unfortunately, no matter how he probed, his daughter flatly denied it. Left with no choice, he could only come here first and make further plans. The long line outside the 9 Peaks shocked the middle-aged man greatly. He had not expected that by the time he arrived here, so many people would already be waiting. Since persuading his daughter was of no use, he could only comfort himself and wait. In any case, it would only take a month or so. So, he decided not to say anything more. At that moment, 2 more people appeared from behind, one of them a young woman followed by a third-order transcendent master who seemed to be her bodyguards. When the young woman arrived, she was also startled, staring into the distance, covering her mouth as she exclaimed, "So many people, are they all here to ask for alchemy?" The third-order transcendent cultivator beside her also glanced over and nodded. "Young lady, on the way here, I heard that the alchemy grandmaster here is extremely skilled. Ever since he began performing alchemy, he has never failed, and the quality of the pills he refines is surprisingly good. Naturally, there are many people here because of his reputation. Amazing, where did that bastard find such an alchemy grandmaster?" The young woman chuckled lightly as she stared towards the 9 Peaks, her expression casual. "Young lady, should we also wait in line?" The cultivator asked softly. "Temph, I'll just go in and look for him. I don't think he'd dare to pretend that he doesn't recognize me." The young woman snorted softly. Her jade-like nose was high, and as she spoke, she walked forward without the slightest intention of waiting in line. After taking a few steps, she suddenly exclaimed in surprise and turned her head to look at one of the people at the back of the line. After seeing this person's face, her face lit up and she hurried over. "Yun Xian, why are you here?" Yun Xian had a preoccupied look on her face and didn't realize that this person was an acquaintance of hers. After hearing someone call out to her, she quickly raised her head and saw the young woman approaching. "Shui Ling?" Yun Xian called out, a smile blooming on her pretty face. "Why are you here? Come and see that bastard. I heard that he's now the holy master of 9 Heavens Holy Land. After not seeing him for a few years, he's actually become a phoenix, not even bothering to inform me that he's safe and sound, causing me to constantly worry about his safety. This time I've come to settle accounts with him." Shui Ling began chattering away. Listening to her, Yun Xian couldn't help smiling, her mood seemingly improving a lot. "Are you here to find the grandmaster for alchemy?" Shui Ling's eyes narrowed slightly as she guessed Yun Xian's intentions. Since you're here, why wait in line, just go straight in," Shui Ling said with a puzzled expression. "That's not good, everyone is waiting in line," Yun Xian said awkwardly. "What's there to be afraid of? Others waiting is their business, you're not an outsider to him. Isn't it the same? We'll just wait here." Yun Xian waved her hand. Seeing her acting like an outsider, Shui Ling's brow furrowed deeply as she suddenly reacted. Could it be that he's not going to admit it? Even if he's the holy master of 9 Heavens Holy Land, how could he be so shameless? "Don't speak so loudly." Yun Xian blushed and quickly stopped her. The nearby 9 Heavens Holy Land disciples all turned their eyes towards them, their expressions gloomy. Shui Ling couldn't help sticking out her tongue, not daring to act rashly. In front of Yang Kai, Shui Ling could indeed act unscrupulously, but speaking ill of the Holy Master in front of these Holy Land disciples would only provoke hatred. "Xian, this girl is..." The middle-aged man who had been standing behind Yun Xian stepped forward and asked. "Oh, this is the little princess of Water Spirit Temple, Shui Ling. I've told father about her before." "So it's Sister Shui Ling." The middle-aged man's expression shook, not daring to neglect, quickly cupping his fists and saying, "This one is Bold Independent Union's Union Master, Yun Cheng. Hello, Uncle Yun." Shui Ling smiled sweetly and called out. Water Spirit Temple's little princess, her reputation is well deserved. So young yet already a first-order transcendent, her future is limitless. Yun Cheng's divine sense swept Shui Ling briefly and was able to determine her true cultivation, his eyes lighting up as he secretly admired Water Spirit Temple's heritage. Yun Xian was older than Shui Ling, but in terms of cultivation, she was inferior. This was the difference in strength between the two great forces. Without good resources, the growth rate of young people was naturally slower. Uncle Yun is too polite. This niece only just broke through some time ago and has not yet stabilized her cultivation. Shui Ling put on a well-behaved appearance, her blue eyes extremely beautiful, constantly drawing the attention of those around her. Her name is Ruan Xinyu, she's a friend of mine. Yun Xian pointed to another woman next to her and introduced her. Shui Ling nodded lightly, greeting him back. Just now, I heard Sister Shui Ling say that you want to enter the 9 Peaks directly to find the Holy Master. Yun Cheng lowered his voice and asked. Ian, I'm an old acquaintance of his. I haven't seen him for several years now, but I didn't expect him to actually come here to become the Holy Master. I also wanted to ask him to help me refine some pills. Does Uncle Yun want to join me? Speaking of which, Yun Xian is also an acquaintance of his. Wouldn't that be a bad idea? Yun Cheng asked hesitantly. It's fine, I'm mainly here to see him, unlike others, Shui Ling giggled. Then this Yun won't be polite. This trip will also benefit from Sister Shui Ling's light. Yun Cheng no longer acted polite, smiling widely. Uncle Yun is too polite. Saying so, Shui Ling turned and walked towards the stone pavilion, Yun Cheng hurriedly following behind. Yun Xian hesitated for a moment, but under Ruan Xinyu's urging, she had no choice but to keep up with the crowd. Inside the line, many people were constantly glancing over, their eyes filled with vigilance and disdain. The people waiting in line here were all here to ask for pills, so naturally, they couldn't bear to see someone not following the rules. However, without knowing the intentions of Shui Ling and the others, they couldn't say anything, so they decided to observe the situation first before making a decision. In front of the stone pavilion, Shui Ling entered and explained her intentions to Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong, the 2 elders frowning as they stared at her. Speaking of which, since Yang Kai entered the 9 Peaks and became the Holy Master of 9 Heavens Holy Land, no one had come to see him, so the elders didn't know anything about the friends Yang Kai had made. However, now that 1 or 2 of them had come, Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong didn't show too much impatience, simply saying, we must first consult with Holy Master about this matter. How about you wait here for a moment? Good. Shui Ling gently nodded, secretly deciding that when she met with Yang Kai, she would teach him a lesson. She had traveled more than 100,000 kilometers to see him, yet he still had to wait for instructions. This was too much of a bully. Immediately, the Holy Land's disciples rushed to the 9 Peaks. A moment later, before the disciples in the 9 Peaks could return, another group of people arrived. This group, like Shui Ling and the others, did not wait in line at the back of the line and instead headed straight to the stone pavilion. This group of people was a bit special. Each one of them had white hair and looked quite old, but the clothes they wore were quite exquisite. At first glance, it was obvious they were not ordinary people. Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong glanced at each other suspiciously, not knowing who these people were. This group of old men didn't have high cultivations, all of them only 2nd or 3rd order transcendents, not a single one of them was a Saint Realm Master, but their demeanor were quite arrogant, not even sparing a glance at the crowd in front of them, as if they didn't put them in their eyes at all. When they arrived at the stone pavilion, one of the old men walked in with a smile, turned to Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong, and asked, 2 young ladies, dare I ask if this place is 9 Heavens Holy Land? The 2 elders frowned. Although the 2 of them didn't look very old, they were both Saint Realm Masters. No one with lower cultivation than them had ever dared to call them young ladies, making them feel like this old man was taking advantage of his seniority. However, when this sentence came out of his mouth, it sounded quite natural, without the slightest hint of pretense. Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong didn't dare act arrogantly and quickly stood up, the former nodding, yes. The owner of this place is called Yang Kai. Indeed. Good, we've come to the right place. Ha, these old bones, I'm so tired from all this walking. The old man breathed a heavy sigh of relief before turning his head and shouting, we've arrived, we'll be able to rest soon. The expressions of the several old men behind him changed, and they all relaxed. May I ask your honored names and what is your relationship with my holy master? Yu Ying asked softly. Haha, send someone to inform your holy master that several like-minded old friends have come to see him. The old man didn't report his name, making him seem somewhat mysterious. Yu Ying's brow furrowed slightly as she exchanged a glance with Cheng Yutong, but didn't ask any more questions, instead ordering a disciple to send a message to the peak. Both of them also felt that this was quite interesting. The Holy Master had been in charge of the 9 peaks for some time now and no one had ever come to visit him, but today, wave after wave of visitors had arrived. It's best if they aren't here to ask for alchemy, the 2 elders thought to themselves as they secretly observed the 2 groups of visitors who claimed to be Yang Kai's friends. Chapter 894. After observing for a while, Yu Ying and Cheng Yutong felt that several of the beautiful young women in the first group were likely to have some kind of relationship with the Holy Master, especially one of them who was dressed like a young woman. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a complex expression as she glanced towards the 9 peaks from time to time. Perhaps she was one of the Holy Master's love affairs. After all, the Holy Master was a young man. Which young man wasn't romantic? Considering all this, Yu Ying and Cheng Yutong couldn't help smiling. The later group of people were all quite old, and although their strength wasn't very high, the noble temperament they exuded could not be faked. These few old men were definitely famous figures in Tongxian realm. After observing for a while, the 2 Holy Land disciples who had left one after the other quickly returned, bringing the Holy Master's orders. Invite them in. Seems he knows what's good for him. Shui Ling was extremely satisfied, quickly informing Yu Ying and Cheng Yutong before leading the group from Bold Independent Union towards the 9 peaks. The several old men also did the same, following behind Shui Ling and the others, the 2 groups not interfering with each other. However, before they could leave, some of the cultivators who were waiting in line for alchemy didn't agree, shouting from somewhere, 2 elders, what are these people doing? Why are they allowed to enter the 9 peaks ahead of time after arriving here today? If it's convenient, can 2 elders explain this to us? That's right, that's right. Immediately, someone echoed, we've been waiting here in line for 10 days now, but now it's their turn, yet they can immediately enter the 9 peaks. Isn't this a bit unfair? Your 9 heavens holy land's reputation is illustrious. Bullying us immortal ascension boundary and transcendent realm cultivators isn't a big deal, we can't do anything to you, but there are many Saint Realm seniors waiting in line here. These seniors are all willing to abide by the rules set by your holy land, do you want to break them yourself? If that's the case, even if we agree, I'm afraid those seniors won't agree, right? This sentence seemed to resonate with many people, and the Saint Realm masters who were waiting in line also wore disgruntled looks as they turned to look at Yu Ying and Cheng Yutong. When they came here, they didn't care about their identity or status, only thinking of themselves as guests here to ask for alchemy pills. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, strictly abide by the rules of 9 heavens holy land and wait in line. However, the scene in front of them made them feel uncomfortable. None of these newcomers had reached the Saint Realm, but after arriving today, they were immediately welcomed inside, naturally making them feel somewhat uneasy. As soon as this group of people shouted, Shui Ling and the group of old men also stopped in their tracks, turning their heads to look back. Yu Ying and Cheng Yutong also realized the seriousness of the problem. They knew that if they didn't handle this matter properly, it was very likely that the prestige the Holy Land had built up during this period would be ruined, leading to many unnecessary misunderstandings. Seeing this, a pleasant smile appeared on her face and she said, "Everyone, please calm down. These people are friends of my Holy Master. This time, they are here to visit the Holy Master, not to ask for alchemy assistance." Is that true? Why would I lie to you? Yu Ying forced a smile. She also felt that this group of people was asking for alchemy from the Holy Land's alchemy grandmaster. However, since the Holy Leader had ordered them to quickly enter, they were definitely not outsiders. At this time, she naturally had to protect the Holy Land's reputation. If those women say they are friends of your Holy Master, I can understand. It is said that the Holy Master's master is around the same age as them, so it is only natural for him to make such friend. But who were those old fellows? How could your Holy Master possibly make friends with such people? Someone in the crowd shouted. This group of old men was not young and their strength was not high, so it was easy for people to assume they were mediocre cultivators who were bitterly pursuing the martial Tao but were unable to find the right path. There were many such people in this world. In their current situation, what they wanted the most was a good pill to help them break through their current realm and extend their lifespan. Most of the people waiting in line had such thoughts. Everyone turned their eyes to the group of old men, even Yun Cheng and the others who were standing still. "You guys, aren't you a bit too meddlesome?" Since Yang Kai invited this group of seniors to enter, naturally he has his reasons. "Don't you think you're a bit too bored? Shouting like this in front of his holy land, be careful you don't provoke them and they won't help you with alchemy," Shui Ling scolded without any trace of politeness. Among the crowd, the few people who were shouting the most fiercely quickly shrank their necks and hid behind others, as if they were afraid Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong would remember their faces and settle accounts with them. Their shouting was simply to vent the unfairness in their hearts, they didn't have any real intentions. This could be considered a warning to Nine Heaven's Holy Land. Otherwise, if anyone came to ask for a pill and said they were Yang Kai's friends, they would be able to enter at any time, causing them to have to wait even longer. This was truly unfair to those who had to abide by the rules. "You little girl, you really dare say such a thing?" Among the group of old men, a pot-bellied old man who was the leader of the group, looked at Shui Ling with a smile. "Aren't you afraid they'll find trouble with you? What's there to be afraid of?" Shui Ling giggled. "Since you're Yang Kai's friends, you're also this young lady's friends. Although you're much older than me, I guarantee that no one here will dare bully you. Otherwise, Yang Kai will teach them a lesson." "Oh, you seem to have a good relationship with Yang Kai." Another old man smiled pleasantly, stroking his beard as he stared towards Shui Ling with a meaningful look. "SOSO, Shui Ling frowned. Although that guy can be a bit of a bastard sometimes, he's still a righteous person. This young lady finds him pleasing to the eye. This old master also finds you pleasing to the eye." The pot-bellied old man smiled lightly before turning to the others and saying, "Several old friends, what do you think we should do? These people seem to think we came to Nine Heaven's Holy Land with some kind of ulterior motive. If we don't explain ourselves, it won't be good for Yang Kai's reputation. Then we'll have to trouble Brother Chang." None of the others objected, indicating that he should do as he wished. The fat old man nodded lightly before turning to the crowd and shouting, "Which one of you didn't have eyes and called this old master an old man? Stand up and let me see." No one admitted to it. The fat old man seemed to have expected this scene and didn't pursue it further, instead pointing to himself and declaring, "This old man's surname is Chang Bao, remember it." He wore an arrogant look and his tone was not polite at all, as if he really was some kind of big shot. This caused many people to scoff at him. A mere second-order transcendent cultivator really wasn't enough to care about these 9 peaks. However, in the crowd waiting in line, many masters couldn't help narrowing their eyes as they stared towards the fat old man. Gradually, the image of a master in their minds overlapped with the fat old man in front of them. Lightning Flash City's Alchemist Guild Manager, Saint Grade Low-Rank Alchemy Grandmaster, Grandmaster Chang Bao? An exclamation rang out, causing an uproar. No wonder he looked so familiar. It turns out he's the Grandmaster from Lightning Flash City. Why is he here? He even knows the Holy Master here. Who are those people around him? There was a lot of discussion in the crowd, as if they had just been struck by some kind of divine skill. Everyone's expression towards Chang Bao changed, no longer showing any contempt and disdain, instead becoming extremely respectful. No one dared to underestimate a saint-grade alchemist. Among the cultivator waiting here, several had been to Lightning Flash City and wanted to meet this Grandmaster and ask for his alchemy services, but unfortunately, they had no chance to meet him and could only come here to seek opportunities. In the midst of their shock, the people around Chang Bao also reported their names. "This old man is Hong Fang. This old man is Du Wn. This old man is He Feng. This old woman is Kong Ruo Yu." The only old woman gently nodded. As these names that shook the world spread, everyone was dumbfounded and speechless. Shattered Star City, Three River City, Broken Moon City, Grand Boulder City, Lightning Flash City. The Alchemist Guild managers of these 5 cities had gathered here. 5 Saint-grade alchemist. This lineup was so luxurious that it was amazing. No one dared to make any more noise, all of them simply staring at these 5 people dumbfoundedly. Everyone couldn't help feeling like this was not Nine Heavens' holy land, but the Alchemist Guild's guild. Otherwise, how could these 5 Grandmasters have gathered here from all over the world? Du smiled heartily and stepped forward. The 5 of us are friends of the owner of this place. We came here today to visit, but we didn't expect there would be some misunderstandings. We hope you won't take offense. No, old man Du is too serious. Someone in the crowd immediately said humbly. The Saint Realm Masters didn't dare show the slightest contempt towards these 5 people and instead wore dignified expressions. Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong's beautiful eyes lit up as they stared at the 5 people in front of them. They finally understood why these 5 people dared to take advantage of their seniority even though their strength was clearly lower than theirs. What's more, the words they spoke shocked the 2 elders. These 5 people had come here to visit the Holy Master. Just the word visit was enough to make one think of many things. It had always been juniors paying respects to their seniors and juniors paying respects to their superiors, but now, these 5 had actually used the word visit. Both Yu Ying and Cheng Yu Tong felt their blood boil. Yu Ying's eyes are poor. I failed to recognize 5 Grandmasters, please forgive me. Yu Ying quickly converged her expression and humbly apologized. It's fine. As long as your Holy Master understands, it's fine, Du chuckled, we aren't strangers to him. Very well, Yu Ying will personally lead 5 Grandmasters to see the Holy Master as an apology. Elder Yu Ying is too polite. 5 Grandmasters, please. Du and the others exchanged a glance before no longer paying any attention to the waiting cultivator and instead following behind Yu Ying. As they flew past Shui Ling and the others, Chang Bao winked at Shui Ling and said with a smile, "Little girl, what are you doing? Keep up with us." Shui Ling responded stupidly, seemingly still in a daze. Remembering how she had just shamelessly boasted that since they were Yang Kai's friends, they were her friends, Shui Ling couldn't wait to find a hole to crawl into. How embarrassing. Fortunately, these 5 Grandmasters were magnanimous and didn't make fun of her, otherwise she would never be able to see anyone again. Chapter 895. Following behind these several Grandmasters, Shui Ling still felt as if she was floating in the clouds, her entire body light. No matter how she racked her brain, she couldn't understand when Yang Kai had become friends with these Grandmasters. What kind of honor was this? A short time later, the group arrived at the Holy Master Court. Yu Ying did not lead them to the guest hall but instead brought them here directly. Ling and Shu Hui immediately came out to greet them, and after exchanging a few pleasantries, Shu Hui called out, "Holy Master said he would be here soon, please wait here for a moment." He's busy, let's take a break first. Chang Bao waved his hand indifferently, finding a comfortable chair to sit down in and gasping for breath. Chang Bao's body was quite fat, making it difficult for him to move around. Normally, he would only stay in the Alchemist Guild in Lightning Flash City, never coming out. This time, if it weren't for him coming to Nine Heavens' Holy Land to find Yang Kai, he wouldn't have bothered himself like this. After bringing everyone here, Yu Ying excused herself and left. These 5 Saint-grade alchemists had great backgrounds, so Ling and Shu Hui didn't dare neglect them, carefully accompanying them. The 5 Grandmasters were all easygoing and didn't put on any airs, simply chatting with Shu Hui and Ling in a harmonious manner. On the other hand, Shui Ling and Yun Xian's group were quite nervous and uncomfortable. Shui Ling hadn't expected that the group of old men she had encountered outside were all alchemy grandmasters, so after learning their identities, she didn't dare speak casually. Yun Xian and the others also appeared quite restrained. Bold Independent Union wasn't a great force, being able to enter Nine Heavens' Holy Land was all thanks to Shui Ling. In front of these 5 grandmasters, Bold Independent Union's Union Master Yun Cheng sat solemnly, not uttering a single word. He couldn't get a word in edgewise, nor did he dare. Everyone here had a much higher status than him. Normally, it was extremely difficult to ask for an audience with any of them. Now that they were gathered together, it made Yun Cheng feel a little pressured. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. Seemingly seeing their awkwardness, Ling walked over and whispered to Shui Ling and Yun Xian, inquiring about their relationship with Yang Kai. Facing this saintess of 9 heavens holy land, Shui Ling and Yun Xian both unconsciously lowered their heads and spoke cautiously. However, under the guidance of Ling, their expressions gradually relaxed, and when they talked about Yang Kai, they would laugh from time to time. After waiting for about an hour, a heroic figure rushed in from the outside. Everyone cast their gazes over and smiled in unison. Junior Yang Kai greets the masters. Yang Kai is flattered to have several grandmasters come to visit. Yang Kai hurriedly saluted as he approached. The 5 grandmasters smiled and nodded, with Du Wn saying, "There's no need to be so polite. Before, you were the one who called us grandmasters, but now, we don't dare." He didn't say it too clearly, but the meaning behind his words was that only heaven and earth knew, and only you and I knew. Yang Kai smiled knowingly. Old man Du is too kind. This junior being able to achieve what he has today is all thanks to the guidance of several grandmasters. Seeing him act so modestly, the 5 old men glanced at each other and felt relieved, thinking that Kai Yang hadn't become arrogant because of his current achievements. They hadn't misjudged him. "Hey, there's someone else here, aren't you going to greet them?" Shui Ling smiled and called out. As soon as Yang Kai came out, Shui Ling's expression relaxed greatly. Because no one here knew as much about Yang Kai as she did. She had followed Yang Kai to Tongxian realm from the central capital and had participated in the world-shaking inheritance war as well as the life and death struggle with the ash-grey cloud evil land. Although Yang Kai was now the holy master of the Holy Land, Shui Ling did not treat him as an outsider. Yang Kai chuckled and greeted, "It's been a long time since we last met. Several beauties have become more and more beautiful." "What a glib tongue." Shui Ling blushed and snorted. Yun Xian also couldn't help feeling a little embarrassed, her beautiful eyes glancing towards Yang Kai. Ruan Xin Yu quietly poked her from the side and urged, "This is probably your last chance. If you don't grasp it, there won't be a next time." Yun Xian just stared at Yang Kai faintly, not saying anything, causing Ruan Xin Yu to feel like jumping off a wall. If she were Yun Xian, she would definitely not let Yang Kai off so easily. He was no longer the same as he was in the past. Back then, he seemed like a little brat who had never seen the world, but now he was the holy master of 9 heavens holy land. His status was high and his strength was not low. How could she easily let go of such a golden opportunity? If she held on tight, she would be able to live a carefree life. However, this fool Yun Xian had no intention of acting at all, causing Ruan Xin Yu to become even more anxious. Junior greets Union Master Yun. Yang Kai cupped his fists towards Yun Cheng. Yun Cheng's body shook as his face filled with pride, quickly getting up and returning the courtesy. "Yang Shengzhu is too polite. Yang Shengzhu is too polite." Saying so, Yun Cheng awkwardly added, "Last time, bold independent Union was deceived by a scoundrel and acted rudely. I hope Yang Shengzhu can forgive us." "A minor matter, there's no need to mention it," Yang Kai chuckled, his expression casual. Hearing this, Yun Cheng finally felt relieved. He was really afraid that Yang Kai would hold a grudge against him for what happened last time. If that really happened, he would no longer have the face to remain here. After exchanging some pleasantries and greeting everyone, Yang Kai found a seat and sat down. "Why have all of you come to my holy land together? Do you know each other?" Yang Kai looked around suspiciously. It was just a coincidence. Chang Bao chuckled, "We didn't come together, we just met outside the mountain peak." "Ian, I also met Yun Xian and the others outside." Shui Ling also nodded. "What a coincidence. No wonder I always felt like something good was about to happen today. It turns out several grandmasters and friends were coming." Yang Kai laughed happily. As he spoke, he intentionally or unintentionally glanced over at Yun Xian, who was staring back at him. When their eyes met, Yun Xian quickly averted her gaze, her heart pounding rapidly. As time passed, she always felt that the distance between herself and Yang Kai was growing larger and larger. The last time she saw him, although he was high up in the clouds, she could still see him from afar. But this time, Yun Xian found that this man was already standing at a height she could never hope to reach. Her heart aching, Yun Xian knew that she would never be able to catch up to Yang Kai in this lifetime, only be able to look up to him. Such a man was not someone a woman like her could match up to. Did several grandmasters come to my holy land for sightseeing, or do you have something important to do? Yang Kai lightly coughed and quickly asked about the matter at hand. The 5 grandmasters glanced at each other, and soon the eyes of the other 4 focused on Du Wn, obviously waiting for him to answer. Old man Du helplessly smiled bitterly and said, "It's like this. En, we heard that there was a grandmaster alchemist here, so we wanted to pay a visit." Yang Kai let out a hollow laugh, the corners of his mouth twitching. Others might not know who this grandmaster alchemist was, but Du Wn and the others definitely knew. After all, Yang Kai had refined a saint-grade low-rank pill with pill veins in front of them. At this moment, seeing Du Wn speak so modestly, Yang Kai couldn't bear it and didn't know how to respond. "En, if it is convenient for that grandmaster, we would like to study alchemy from him." Hong Fang continued. Yang Kai's mouth twitched even more. "It doesn't matter if it's inconvenient." Du Wn saw the strange expression on Yang Kai's face and thought he wasn't too willing, so he quickly waved his hand. "We don't covet the secrets of others, it's just that no one can teach us alchemy. Now that we have finally found one, we want to try our luck. Yang Kai, you can discuss with that grandmaster, there's no need to rush to answer us, it won't be too late to give us an answer later. En, if that grandmaster is willing to give us some pointers, we would naturally be happy, but if he doesn't want to, it's fine as well. After all, us old fogies were a bit shameless and forced him to do something he didn't want," Chang Bao comforted. 5 pairs of eyes stared at Yang Kai, wondering what answer he would give. Even Shui Ling, Yun Cheng, and the others were watching nervously. They didn't know why, but they felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange. Yang Kai took a deep breath and said with a solemn expression, "Several grandmasters are too serious. My Holy Land's alchemist also needs to communicate with others. The arrival of 5 grandmasters is nothing short of a blessing for him. How about this? On behalf of that alchemist, I agree to your request. Although it's not about pointers, it's about learning from each other." "Really?" Chang Bao excitedly asked. "Is that okay?" Du Wan also looked at Yang Kai. "There's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing shameful about it," Yang Kai chuckled. The 5 grandmasters glanced at each other with excited expressions before turning to look at Yang Kai again, their eyes filled with gratitude. Yang Kai agreeing so readily was really beyond their expectations. On the way here, the 5 grandmasters had been a bit hesitant, feeling that such a request was a bit inappropriate, but they couldn't resist the temptation of learning the mysteries of alchemy and had come to the Holy Land together, thickening their faces to make such a request, mentally preparing themselves for rejection. Who would have thought that he would achieve his goal so easily? The 5 grandmasters were pleasantly surprised. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's go meet that grandmaster now," He Feng said, standing up. "No need to rush." Yang Kai laughed dumbly. "Please wait a moment." Saying so, he turned to Shui Ling and the others. "What about you? Did you come here to see me or to perform alchemy? If I said I came here specifically to see you, would you believe me?" Shui Ling asked with a smile. Yang Kai grinned disdainfully. "Then I came here to perform alchemy, heh. Saying so, Shui Ling took out a universe bag and tossed it directly to Yang Kai, saying without any trace of politeness, "I want to refine 3 azure sky pills. All the materials are ready, you can decide for yourself." Yang Kai caught the universe bag and swept it with his divine sense, nodding lightly. "Azure sky pills. How long has it been since you broke through to the transcendent realm?" "It's only been 4 months. That's why I need these pills to stabilize my realm," Shui Ling replied, a somewhat distressed look on her face. Chapter 896. Shui Ling had only broken through to the transcendent realm 4 months ago, so she really needed to consolidate her realm. If she didn't want to meditate to comprehend the heavenly way and martial Tao, she could only rely on the power of pills. En. Yang Kai nodded, thought about it for a while, then said, "If you want to stabilize your realm, a single azure sky pill is enough. I'll help you refine some other soul-restoring pills with the remaining herbs you need to enhance your spiritual energy. In any case, the materials required for these 2 pills are similar." "You know a lot about pills." Shui Ling was stunned. En. I've been around that Grandmaster for a long time, so I understand a little. Then I'll leave it to you. In any case, I know you won't treat me badly. Shui Ling seemed to have entrusted her life to Yang Kai, causing Yang Kai to be speechless. You woman. Yang Kai slowly shook his head before turning to Yun Xian, his tone softening greatly. What about you? Yun Xian seemed to be thinking about something, but upon hearing this question her tender body trembled slightly, quickly replying, my father wants to refine a Heaven's secret pill. Heaven's secret pill? Yang Kai raised his brow and turned to look at Yun Cheng, smiling. So, Senior Yun is about to break through to the Saint Realm? Yun Cheng smiled awkwardly. I saw some hope but was unable to comprehend its mysteries, so I came here to ask for a Heaven's secret pill to peer into the mysteries of the heavens. Good. Yang Kai nodded firmly. Since Senior Yun is about to break through, I will ask Grandmaster to refine the best Heaven's secret pill possible to help Senior Yun comprehend the mysteries of the Saint Realm. Hearing this, Yun Cheng's expression shook and he was overjoyed. Then I'll have to trouble Yang Shengzhu. Saying so, he signaled to Yun Xian with his eyes. Yun Xian understood, got up, and politely bowed, many thanks. Holy Master Yang. Yang Kai nodded faintly, his expression slightly complicated. Inside the hall, the group of people watching seemed to have noticed something and began to ponder. Yun Cheng coughed dryly and handed over the herbs he had prepared. Yang Kai took it and ordered, and Ling help me greet my friends. I'll bring the materials over first. Yes, and Ling replied. Grandmasters, please follow me. Yang Kai called out to Du Wan and the others. In the side room, the alchemy furnace was still placed there. Sets of alchemy ingredients were placed beside it, waiting to be refined. After arriving, Yang Kai said, Grandmasters, please feel free to do as you please. This junior is usually refining pills here, so there's nothing to entertain you all. Don't worry about us. We're only here to observe. How much we can learn is up to us. There's no need for you to teach us. Chang Bao quickly found a good spot and sat down cross-legged. Not bad. When we came here, we already discussed it. As long as you agree to let us observe, we won't do anything else. Du Wan nodded slightly. That's fine. Yang Kai nodded. When it came to alchemy, he had to give it his all, so he really didn't have the time to explain anything to others. Moreover, he had no experience in teaching, nor did he have the qualifications to do so. The 5 people in front of him were all masters who had been immersed in alchemy for hundreds of years and had their own unique understanding of alchemy. Rather than explaining alchemy to them, it would be better to just let them observe. Boy, are you having an affair with that girl named Yun Xian? Why do I feel like she's looking at you so strangely? Chang Bao suddenly asked with a smile, his small eyes flashing with light. You shameless old man, what nonsense are you spouting? Kong Ruo Yu immediately glared at him. Heh, I was just asking. Chang Bao laughed awkwardly. Yang Kai also smiled bitterly and nodded. There really is something going on. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Let's focus on alchemy. Immediately, Yang Kai took out the herbs Shui Ling had brought and prepared to refine the Azure Sky pill and soul replenishing pill she needed. The grade of these 2 pills wasn't too high, only spirit grade top rank. Yang Kai planned to use them as a warm-up in preparation for refining the heavenly mystery pill. The 5 grandmasters immediately raised their spirits and paid close attention to his movements, lest they miss the slightest detail. Time passed by little by little. Inside the Holy Master Court, and Ling accompanied Shui Ling, Yun Xian, and the others, getting along well with each other. In the evening, Yang Kai, who had left a while ago, returned once again. Yun Cheng, who had been anxiously waiting, quickly got up and looked towards him, his body trembling slightly as he felt a little nervous. Arriving in front of him, Yang Kai handed him a jade bottle and said, This is the heavenly mystery pill Senior Yun needs. Tossing another jade bottle to Shui Ling, Yang Kai said, This is your Azure Sky pill and soul replenishing pill. Shui Ling smiled and took the bottle, opening it and taking a look inside. She couldn't help calling out in surprise, You can really refine pill veins. I thought the rumors outside were all exaggerated, but it turns out it's true. Of these 3 pills, the Azure Sky pill, which was used to stabilize one's cultivation, clearly had pill veins. Its value was not something ordinary pills could compare with. Shui Ling's eyes filled with excitement and happiness. Next time if you need anything, just come here, there's no need to be polite with me, Yang Kai said with a smile. I won't be polite with you, Shui Ling pouted. Shui Ling curled her lips disdainfully and put the pills into her universe bag, carefully placing them away before turning her gaze towards Cloud City. Why is Senior Yun like this? At this moment, Yun Xian and Wan Xin Yu were also gathered around Yun Cheng. Seeing his hands trembling and his throat trembling, but unable to speak, neither of them knew what was wrong, causing their beautiful faces to pale with anxiety. Pill veins. After a long time, Yun Cheng finally managed to squeeze out 2 words, a saint pill with pill veins. Impossible. Shui Ling was taken aback and quickly leaned over to take a closer look. Sure enough, she saw that the saint-grade low-rank pill had lines that resembled the meridians of a human body. She was also shocked speechless. A saint pill with pill veins, the value of such a thing was immeasurable. For a time, all of them stared at Yun Cheng with envy. If only they had known this would happen, they would have brought some materials for refining saint pills. In any case, there was no need to pay for refining saint pills in Yang Kai's place, and her father was also in need of saint pills. Congratulations to Senior Yun for achieving his wish. Shui Ling calmed herself down and congratulated him with a smile. Congratulations Union Master, there is hope for you to break through to the Saint Realm. Wan Xin Yu also quickly followed up. You can't say that. Although these pills are rare, breaking through to the Saint Realm will depend on this Yun's efforts, but in any case, I must thank Yang Shengzhu for his help. Senior Yun is too polite. Yang Kai smiled lightly, glancing over at Yun Xian who also nodded gently, showing a look of gratitude. She knew in her heart that Yang Kai must have asked that Grandmaster to go all out, otherwise, how could he have so coincidentally refined a saint pill with pill veins? Now that the pill had been refined, Yun Cheng was in no mood to stay and couldn't wait to return to Bold Independent City so he could take this pill and explore the mysteries of breaking through to the Saint Realm, so he immediately said goodbye. Yang Kai didn't try to persuade him to stay. Then I'll be going too. Seeing how busy you are, it seems you don't have time to accompany me. There's no point in staying here. Shui Ling thought for a moment and also said she wanted to leave. I'll send you off. Yang Kai said. That won't do, this Yun cannot afford. Yun Cheng was shocked, but before he could finish speaking, he was pushed away by Wan Xin Yu, muttering under his breath, it's none of your business, Union Master, we'll leave first. Hearing this, Yun Cheng immediately came to his senses, excused himself from Yang Kai, and flew out of the 9 peaks. Shui Ling also gave Yang Kai a meaningful look before waving her hand, if you have time, come to Water Spirit Temple to see me. Don't go missing for several years without any news. I know, Yang Kai smiled bitterly. In an instant, only Yang Kai and Yun Xian remained in the hall. Even Shu Hui and An Ling had tactfully slipped away and disappeared. Let's go, Yang Kai motioned. Yun Xian gently nodded and walked out side by side with Yang Kai. Along the way, Yang Kai was silently considering what to say. Although something had happened between him and this woman all those years ago, under those circumstances, he had been forced to do so. If he refused to admit it now, it would be too much of an animal, so he could only remain silent. I heard from your Holy Land Saintess that you haven't even accepted her. Yang Kai didn't say anything, so Yun Xian suddenly spoke up. She even told you that. Yang Kai was stunned. There's a lot to be said between women, Yun Xian grinned. Why is that? You're the Holy Master here and she's the Saintess, shouldn't you be together? Could it be you don't even like someone like her? It's not that I don't like her. Yang Kai shook his head, not knowing how to explain. That means you have another woman in your heart, Yun Xian said decisively. Yang Kai couldn't help admiring this woman's keenness and nodded, indeed. Isn't she outstanding? Yun Xian asked faintly. Yang Kai's eyes couldn't help flashing back to Su Yang and Xia Ningchang, a look of reminiscence appearing on his face. Seeing him like this, Yun Xian smiled sadly. Forget it, you don't need to answer. I already know the answer. Ian, you don't need to worry about what happened between you and me, that kind of situation was really unavoidable. Just treat it as a beautiful memory that I will treasure in my heart. Yang Kai opened his mouth to speak, but hesitated. Can you not show such an expression? Yun Xian's eyes became watery as her voice trembled slightly. Do you think you're going to take responsibility after taking advantage of me once? I didn't care at all. Why should you care? Yun Xian. Yang Kai's expression became gloomy as he stared deeply at her, feeling helpless in his heart. Yun Xian kept wiping the corners of her eyes, but the tears continued to pour out like pearls. Suddenly, she turned around, grabbed Yang Kai's hand, and bit down hard. Her silver teeth sank deep into his flesh, causing blood to seep out. Yang Kai remained motionless and just stared at her quietly. Up close, Yun Xian also stared back at Yang Kai stubbornly. You hurt me once, I hurt you once, we're even. Suddenly, Yun Xian let go of Yang Kai's hand, swallowed the blood into her stomach, wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, turned around, and walked away. A rain of tears fell. Her voice gradually drifted over. You heartless man, you'd better maintain your current high and mighty position so that I can only look up to you. If one day you fall from the clouds, I will definitely not let you off easily. Yang Kai smiled bitterly. Chapter 897. You're really heartless. An Linger floated out like a ghost and stared in the direction Yun Xian left, sighing faintly. She's already like that, can't you coax her? A few words of sweet talk is all it takes. That would only make the situation worse. Yang Kai shook his head. That's not necessary. Yang Kai glared at her. That's why I don't want to talk about love with you, otherwise you'll end up like this in the future. I won't. An Linger blushed and hurriedly left. Returning to the Holy Master Court, Yang Kai continued to perform alchemy. The 5 grandmasters keenly noticed that Yang Kai's state of mind seemed to have undergone some subtle changes, causing his alchemy technique to frequently make mistakes, nearly ruining a number of good materials, causing them to break out in a cold sweat. But soon, this terrible state of mind was forgotten and Yang Kai regained his proficiency and self-confidence in alchemy, causing the 5 grandmasters to look forward to seeing what he was capable of. In the blink of an eye, another few months had passed. The reputation of 9 Heavens Holy Land's alchemy grandmasters had spread throughout the world, and no one could compare to them. The outside of the 9 peaks was bustling with noise and excitement every day. There was an endless stream of people queuing up to refine pills. The Holy Land had obtained an unimaginable amount of wealth and cultivation materials, enough to make anyone's eyes go red with envy. Shu Hui and the other grandmasters were grinning from ear to ear all day long. Inside the main room, Yang Kai and the 5 grandmasters had been sitting there for several months, not leaving the door once. Every day, Yang Kai would refine 20 pills, no more, no less, and the 5 grandmasters would watch him from beginning to end. They were shocked by Yang Kai's alchemy speed and fascinated by his exquisite alchemy technique. Refining 20 pills a day was something none of the grandmasters here could accomplish. Refining spirit pills wasn't so bad, and if the 5 grandmasters put their all into it, they could refine 7 or 8 pills a day. However, refining the holy elixir consumed a lot of mental energy and strength. All the grandmasters asked themselves, if they tried their best, they would only be able to refine 2 holy elixirs a day before they would be exhausted. However, with Yang Kai, he only needed to spend 14 to 14 hours, or even less, to refine all 20 pills. The rest of the time was used to comprehend the gains from refining pills and to recover his strength. The grandmasters were deeply aware of the terrifying effects of the conflagrated knowledge sea in alchemy. When Yang Kai was refining pills, they would observe. When Yang Kai was resting, they would sit together and discuss the day's harvest. Often, they would argue until their faces turned red and their necks were thick. They would always be in a deadlock over a technique or the use of a spirit array. Yang Kai didn't care about them, nor did he express his opinion. The reason he could perform alchemy so quickly was entirely because of his conflagrated knowledge sea, so sometimes the methods and insights he used were not suitable for the several grandmasters. Amidst the noise and discussion, the grandmasters felt that their understanding of alchemy had deepened, and their alchemy skills had improved. Sometimes, when he couldn't bear the loneliness and his hands itched, he would take some materials from Yang Kai and refine them into pills. With the help of the Grandmasters, Yang Kai became more and more relaxed. Condensing medicinal liquids was basically something he didn't need to do himself. The Grandmasters were simply practicing their own insights, so Yang Kai only needed to combine the different medicinal liquids and refine them into pills. Chang Bao nodded. Then you go investigate. We'll help you refine the rest of the pills. Is that okay? Yang Kai was stunned. He had wanted to wait until he finished investigating before refining the rest of the pills, but he had not expected Chang Bao to propose such a thing. What's wrong with that? Chang Bao grinned meaningfully. We are all saint-grade alchemists. What's wrong? Don't you think our skills are up to your standards? I wouldn't dare for several Grandmasters to be willing to help. I am very grateful and have no doubts about your skills. Yang Kai smiled flatteringly. Although during this time the Grandmasters would refine 1 or 2 pills whenever they felt the itch, none of them had ever overstepped their boundaries or tried to steal the limelight. Usually, they would just observe, and only when they couldn't help themselves would they attempt to perform alchemy, so they didn't refine many. Today's alchemy work had just begun, so in addition to the few pills Yang Kai had refined, there were still a dozen or so pills left to refine. Dividing them evenly among the Grandmasters, each of them had to refine 3 or 4 pills. Most of them were saint-grade pills. After refining these 3 or 4 pills, the Grandmasters would likely be like lamps that had run out of oil. Little brat, you sure know how to talk. Chang Bao laughed, very satisfied. Ian, we've been watching for a while now, it's time to really start. It's pointless to keep arguing with these old fogies, so let's see who has a better understanding of saint-grade alchemy. He-Feng also agreed with Chang Bao's proposal. Alright, don't worry about these dozen or so pills, Yang Kai, we'll help you refine them. Go ahead and examine the artifact carefully. Du Wn waved to Yang Kai. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you Grandmasters. Yang Kai no longer refused. The Grandmasters refining these pills wouldn't be a problem. Although there was a chance of failure, with the Holy Land's current heritage, compensating them was a trivial matter. Relaxing both physically and mentally, Yang Kai left this place and went to another room. Sitting down cross-legged, Yang Kai's mind flickered, and the long shuttle artifact he obtained from the starfield appeared in his hand. Circulating his divine sense, Yang Kai carefully examined it. What had just resonated with him was this long shuttle artifact. It had been almost half a year since Yang Kai refined it into his body. During this time, although Yang Kai had been focused on alchemy and had not paid any attention to it, his yuan qi and divine sense had been constantly nourishing it. Taking so long to resonate with it made Yang Kai feel quite surprised. He still remembered that silver leaf artifact. From the time he refined it into his body to the time he truly understood its structure and purpose, it had only taken him 3 months. The silver leaf artifact was a saint-grade high-rank artifact, a top-level artifact. From this, it could be seen that either the structure of this long shuttle artifact was too complex or its grade was much higher than that of the silver leaf artifact. If not for this, it would have been impossible for such a time-consuming process to occur. If it hadn't resonated with him today, Yang Kai would have almost forgotten about it. Using his divine sense to probe it, Yang Kai immediately understood the structure of the long shuttle. Yang Kai's expression suddenly became strange. He found that the structure of this long shuttle was different from what he had imagined. The spirit arrays engraved inside were not only not complex, but also somewhat simple. Although they were all traces of age, Yang Kai didn't recognize what these spirit arrays were for. He didn't know much about artifact refining. The spirit arrays used in artifact refining and the spirit arrays used in alchemy were 2 completely different things. Vaguely, Yang Kai could perceive the purpose of this artifact, but without actually using it, he couldn't confirm it. Pouring his yuan qi into it, the palm-sized long shuttle artifact suddenly burst into a golden light and flew out from Yang Kai's hand, instantly reaching the other side of the room. Yang Kai's face paled. At that moment, he had almost lost track of this long shuttle artifact. This artifact contained his soul brand and life imprint, so it was intimately connected to him. Logically speaking, he should be able to clearly see the movements of this artifact, as if he had attached himself to it. But he still had such an illusion. The only explanation was that this artifact was too fast, so fast that Yang Kai didn't even have time to think before it had already completed its trajectory. Staring at the long shuttle artifact floating on the other side of the room, Yang Kai frowned and tried to use his divine sense to control it. Chapter 898. Asterisk shio shio shio. Asterisk the sound of something tearing through the air rang out, causing one's eardrums to tremble. The long shuttle seemed to have broken through the shackles of space, constantly changing its position. After several attempts, Yang Kai's eyes gradually brightened. He felt that he had figured out the mystery of this artifact. Reaching out, the long shuttle returned to his hand. Yang Kai carefully examined it again. His divine sense wandered inside the long shuttle, observing its structure, not letting go of a single detail. Although the long shuttle was small, after his divine sense entered it, it was as if he had entered a vast and boundless space. No matter how Yang Kai probed, he seemed to be unable to see the end. Suddenly, a trace of faintly discernible information flowed from the long shuttle into Yang Kai's divine sense. Shuttle of Flying Apsara, this seemed to be the name of this artifact. Inferring from this name alone, it was the same as what Yang Kai had sensed before. The purpose of this long shuttle was to fly. In other words, it was a special flight-type artifact. There were many kinds of artifacts, and according to their classification, their types were also different. In terms of function, artifacts were mainly divided into three categories: offensive, defensive, and auxiliary. Of course, there were also artifacts that were both offensive and defensive. Yang Kai's silver leaf was such an artifact. According to the power used, artifacts could also be divided into Yuan Qi-controlled artifacts and soul-type artifacts. The value of the latter was generally much higher than the former and was more difficult to refine. Among the artifacts, there was a special kind that was specifically used for flight. If one used a flight-type artifact, they would generally fly much faster than a cultivator. Yang Kai had also seen many flight-type artifacts in his time, many of them in different shapes, such as sword-shaped, foot-shaped, carriages, and so on, but this was the first time he had seen one in the shape of a long shuttle. At first glance, this thing looked a bit like a canoe. Inside the shuttle of Flying Apsara, there was no trace of a spirit array, which meant that it could not be used to attack. There should be a defensive spirit array, but he did not know how strong it was. His divine sense continued to probe deeper. Soon, Yang Kai found a strange place. Inside the shuttle of Flying Apsaras, specks of light were twinkling. When one's divine sense entered this place, it was as if they were in a star field, surrounded by countless stars that extended as far as the eye could see. The interior of the light was like a star field that had been shrunk countless times, and it was placed inside the shuttle of Flying Apsara. Among them, there was also a spirit line that was so small that it was almost undetectable. It was connected to many flickering light spots and extended to a very far place. Yang Kai frowned. He didn't know what this was for. Yang Kai's divine sense followed this spirit thread and began to feel more and more that what was stored inside the shuttle of Flying Apsara was very similar to a miniature version of the star field. However, what he found to be a pity was that the spirit line was broken at a certain point. It was probably because it had been drifting in the star field for a long time and had lost most of its spirituality. He did not know where it would eventually connect to. Shaking his head, Yang Kai retracted his divine sense after confirming that there was nothing to worry about inside the shuttle of Flying Apsara. Although this artifact had lost most of its spirituality, after such a long time of nourishment, it was still able to play its most basic role. Driven by his curiosity, Yang Kai immediately walked out of the Holy Master Court. Pouring his Yuan Qi into the shuttle of Flying Apsara, it suddenly expanded to several meters in length and quietly floated in front of Yang Kai. Yang Kai's face lit up with joy as he thought to himself. Since this flight-type artifact could carry people, it was impossible for it to be only the size of a palm. Yang Kai didn't know who had refined this artifact and what kind of spirit array had been placed on it to allow it to freely expand and shrink. However, a few meters in length was its limit. Observing it with his naked eye, Yang Kai estimated that this shuttle of Flying Apsara should be able to carry 7 or 8 people. Using his divine sense, the shuttle of Flying Apsara shrank a lot, becoming only 2 meters long. A layer of blue light began emitting from the inside of the shuttle of flying Apsara, forming a protective barrier. Yang Kai jumped up and the blue light enveloped him, leaving no gap, as if it was tailor-made for him. Cheering up, Yuan Qi surged even more violently. A blue light flashed and in the next moment, Yang Kai and the shuttle of flying Apsara disappeared. Atop one of the 9 peaks, the great commanders of the ancient demon clan were all sitting in meditation. During this time, Yang Kai didn't have anything to do with them, so after obtaining a large number of cultivation resources from Shu Hui, the great commanders spared no effort in improving their strength. Suddenly, Li Rong's brow furrowed and she awoke from her meditation, her tender body flickering as she flew out of the room and stared towards a certain spot in the sky, a suspicious look appearing on her pretty face. Immediately, Han Fei and Hua Mo also appeared beside her. "Is that Master's aura?" Han Fei also stared towards the sky and asked softly. "Yen, it was Master who went out." Li Rong nodded lightly, "But this speed, it's quite fast." Saying so, her expression changed slightly. "I can't sense him anymore." As a second-order saint, Li Rong's divine sense could cover a range of several hundred kilometers, but from the time she detected Yang Kai until now, it had only been 3 breaths of time. In that short time, Yang Kai had already left the range of her divine sense. This kind of speed was simply sensational. In this world, no one could possess such a bizarre speed. "Why did Master go out at this time?" Hua Mo asked in confusion. "I don't know." "Then, should we follow and protect you?" Hua Mo asked hesitantly. "We don't even know where he went, how are we supposed to follow?" Li Rong smiled bitterly. "Forget it, with such a fast speed, I'm afraid no one can catch up with him." Hearing her say this, Han Fei and Hua Mo also relaxed. Since no one could catch up to Yang Kai, he naturally wouldn't be in any danger. While the 3 great commanders, who had noticed Yang Kai's departure, were speaking, many of the cultivator waiting in line outside the 9 peaks also looked up with dignified expressions. Just now, a flash of light had passed over their heads, and by the time they reacted and tried to investigate, their divine senses were unable to keep up with the speed of this blue light. This discovery shocked them to the extreme. Among the cultivator here, there were many powerful masters who were confident in their strength, but in front of this blue light, they were completely powerless. Their expressions couldn't help changing slightly as they tried to guess which powerful master had passed by and what method he had used. However, none of them were able to figure it out. Mid-air, Yang Kai's expression was filled with excitement and ecstasy, almost unable to believe what he was experiencing right now. The scenery beneath his feet was like a surging river, rapidly receding, so fast that it was impossible to describe it with words. Yang Kai's naked eye couldn't capture any of the scenery, and often, by the time he focused his eyes, the scenery would be thrown far away. The flying speed of the Flying Heavens shuttle was far beyond his expectations. Yang Kai's speed wasn't slow, and if he used his wind and thunder wings, even a second-order saint wouldn't necessarily be able to catch up to him. But now, his speed had surpassed the limits of this world, almost comparable to using his ability to tear space to move his position. In a flash, he had crossed 100 kilometers. What was most incredible to him was that the amount of Yuan Qi required to operate the Flying Heavens shuttle wasn't too high. Moreover, because of the protection of the blue light barrier, there was no need to worry about the wind affecting his vision, allowing him to stand atop the Flying Heavens shuttle as easily as walking on flat ground. Feeling excited, Yang Kai not only didn't show any intention of stopping, but instead increased his speed even more. Gradually, after familiarizing himself with this artifact, Yang Kai was able to control it freely and had also become accustomed to its lightning-fast speed. Yang Kai was ecstatic. Watching the ground beneath his feet recede like flowing water, he couldn't help feeling a subtle sense of excitement. It wasn't until half a day later that this sense of excitement gradually subsided and Yang Kai began to slow down his flying speed. Looking around, Yang Kai saw a world covered in white snow in the distance. The world below this snow gave him a faint sense of familiarity. A strange light flashed across Yang Kai's eyes as he carefully examined this place. A moment later, a magnificent city appeared before Yang Kai's eyes. Yang Kai's expression became even stranger. Flying closer to this city, After an incense stick worth of time, Yang Kai appeared on the streets of this city. Grand Boulder City. This was actually Grand Boulder City, which was more than 100,000 kilometers away from Nine Heavens Holy Land. Yang Kai's expression fluctuated, as if he was in a dream. When he had led the ancient demon clan from here to Nine Heavens Holy Land, it had taken him a full 2 months to reach the 9 peaks. Although the ancient demon clan had a large number of people and their speed wasn't that fast, if Yang Kai were to fly alone, it would have taken him 20 to 30 days to reach Nine Heavens Holy Land from here. But now, it had taken him less than a day to return. Strictly speaking, it should have been about 20 hours. Comparing the two, the time it took was simply incomparable. At this moment, Yang Kai deeply realized the terrifying speed of the Flying Heavens shuttle and also the preciousness of this flight-type artifact. With this artifact, it would be much more convenient for him to go wherever he wanted. Solemnly storing the artifact into his body, Yang Kai arrived at the Alchemist Guild. Du Wan had already gone to Nine Heavens Holy Land, so now only Yi Xiong, Mina, and Wu remained in Grand Boulder City's Alchemist Guild. Seeing Yang Kai suddenly arrive, all of them were surprised, but they still happily welcomed him inside. Yang Kai didn't stay for long and spent a day in the Alchemist Guild, teaching Wu and Mina some alchemy knowledge and leaving behind a few basic spirit arrays before leaving. Next, he went to Soaring Heaven Sect. Now that he was the Holy Master of Nine Heavens Holy Land, he had many trivial matters to attend to and didn't have time to visit. Now that he had come here by chance, naturally he had to visit his martial aunts and ancestral founder. Serene Resplendent Peak. When Yang Kai returned, his martial aunt Feiyu's face was as red as a peach blossom, her beautiful eyes watery and seductive. Lying on a stone table in the cave, large patches of her snow-white skin were exposed, attracting the eyes of anyone who saw her. Feiyu's martial aunt cultivated a water attribute secret art, so she didn't drink for pleasure, but rather to refine the alcohol into her body to enhance the lethality of her yuan qi. Yang Kai had long observed this, but he was still somewhat helpless when it came to her drinking. Chapter 899. Feiyu's martial aunt was still the same as always, her mouth full of nonsense, causing Yang Kai's face to flush red and his blood to boil. Feiyu, on the other hand, was laughing so hard she couldn't even stand up straight. Tsangyan and the others soon arrived and met with Yang Kai, asking him about the situation with the demons, warning him to be careful and not be deceived by them. Feeling the care of his martial uncles, Yang Kai's heart warmed and he readily agreed. From Tsangyan and the others, Yang Kai also learned that a number of masters had come to Soaring Heaven Sect some time ago to inquire about the situation with Chu Ling Xiao's group of demons. Some of them even angrily requested Chu Ling Xiao to kill Yang Kai, who had colluded with the demons, and clean up the sect. Chu Ling Xiao didn't pay any attention to these people and instead entered secluded retreat, refusing to meet with outsiders. These people were helpless, and after staying in Soaring Heaven Sect for a while, they could only leave. However, as the reputation of Nine Heavens Holy Land spread, no one came to visit Soaring Heaven Sect again. They didn't want to offend Nine Heavens Holy Land, otherwise, they may lose the opportunity to ask the Alchemy Grandmaster for help. Later, Yang Kai went to visit ancestral founder Chu Ling Xiao and spoke with him for a while. After learning that Li Rong and the others were now obediently staying in the 9 Peaks, Chu Ling Xiao was extremely satisfied, but he still gave Yang Kai a lot of advice, much the same as his martial uncles. After spending 3 days in Soaring Heaven Sect, relieving the fatigue he had accumulated from practicing alchemy for so long, Yang Kai set foot on the road back home. For nearly a year, Yang Kai had been constantly improving his alchemy skills, constantly helping others perform alchemy, gaining insights from alchemy to assist his own cultivation, not even taking a single day off to rest. This time, after a few days of coincidental rest, Yang Kai suddenly felt that his cultivation had risen again. He immediately understood that this was the result of relaxing his mind. Nearly a year of accumulation and precipitation had turned into visible results over the past few days, becoming nutrients for his own growth. Less than a day later, Yang Kai returned to Nine Heavens Holy Land. Just as he entered the 9 Peaks, Li Rong's divine thought transmitted to him, "My lord, that demon clan woman wishes to see you. A monster race woman? Yang Kai paused mid-air, frowning. After thinking for a moment, he asked, "Cai Dai?" "Yes, it's her. What is she doing here?" Yang Kai didn't understand. "She didn't say. If you don't want to see her, I'll send her away." Li Rong quickly responded. "No need, I'll be right there." A moment later, Yang Kai appeared on the mountain peak where the ancient demon clan lived. Strolling into the largest palace, Yang Kai saw Cai Dai with 7 colored wings sitting there, waiting quietly with an indifferent expression like a statue, as if someone owed her money. The two great commanders, Yin Ya and Xue Ji, glanced at her from time to time, both feeling great pressure from her. Although this icy monster race master was a feast for the eyes and the 7 colored wings on her back gave her an even more alluring feeling, Yin Ya and Xue Ji both knew that they had no ability to conquer this iceberg with their own abilities. Approaching her would only result in their bodies and minds freezing. Seeing Yang Kai arrive, Cai Dai's beautiful eyes finally turned and fixed on him. Li Rong quickly stepped forward and came to Yang Kai's side, smiling bitterly and whispering, "She's been here for 3 days now, just sitting there, not moving. When we called out to her, she ignored us, only saying she wanted to wait for you to come back." Yang Kai nodded helplessly, "Thank you for your hard work." Saying so, he stepped forward and cupped his fists with a smile. "Sister Cai Dai." Cai Dai nodded gently in greeting, the indifference on her face not diminishing as she faintly said, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." Yang Kai chuckled dryly, thinking to himself that he wasn't the one who made her wait, calming himself down and asking, "Is Great Senior looking for me for some reason?" Cai Dai nodded, "Yes, Great Senior wants to invite you to Thunder Tree Palace." "Is there a problem with your beast transformation pond?" Yang Kai frowned. This was the only reason he could think of for Great Senior looking for him. "It's not a problem with the beast transformation pond. Don't ask too much. Once you arrive at Thunder Tree Palace, Great Senior will naturally explain the situation to you." Yang Kai suddenly choked and was rendered speechless, the other great commanders also rolling their eyes. Cai Dai didn't seem like she was inviting him at all, the words she spoke were filled with arrogance, as if she was ordering him around, making him feel very uncomfortable. Han Fei's face suddenly became gloomy. Both of them were ice-cold beauties and second-order saints, so there was a faint sense of rejection between the two. Han Fei had long since found the other side unpleasant and couldn't wait to find an opportunity to teach this little girl a lesson so she would know how to treat her master with respect. Perceiving the subtle atmosphere, Yang Kai quickly said, "Since Great Senior is looking for me, I'll go, there must be something important." "Sister Cai Dai, please wait a moment, I just came back from outside and have some things to arrange." Cai Dai nodded faintly and no longer said anything. "Master, I'll go with you," Li Rong said immediately. Yang Kai glanced at her, and although he felt that Great Senior wouldn't do anything to harm him, he still nodded, "Good, you also prepare." Leaving the mountain peak, Yang Kai immediately rushed to the Holy Master Court. When he left a few days ago, he hadn't expected it to take him several days, so he didn't know how Wan and the others were doing. The pills he had refined these past few days must have been refined by them. Just as he entered the room, Yang Kai saw 5 grandmasters sitting there, each of them with a pill furnace in front of them and a set of herbs placed beside them. The grandmasters were all staring at the pills in their hands silently, their expressions dignified, the atmosphere a bit strange. Yang Kai was taken aback and quickly asked, "Grandmasters, what happened?" Hearing this voice, Wan and the others seemed to awaken from their contemplation, all of them looking up at him and smiling. Yang Kai was stunned. "Nothing happened, we just found that our alchemy skills have improved a lot." Wan explained with a smile. "Indeed, they've improved a lot," Changbao agreed. "That's why every time we refine a pill, we check the gains and losses," Kong Ruoyu said with a chuckle, "We were just checking." "Is that so?" Yang Kai breathed a sigh of relief. He had thought that a few days of high-intensity alchemy had really exhausted these grandmasters. "Boy, although you're not the best master, we are the best disciples." Hong Fang laughed. "In the past, it would take us at least 2 hours to refine a saint pill, consuming a lot of strength and spiritual energy, But now, refining a saint pill only takes half the time it used to do so, and the amount of strength consumed has also been greatly reduced. This is the result of observing your alchemy. Everyone smiled and nodded. They hadn't practiced alchemy too many times before, so none of them had noticed their progress. However, Yang Kai had been away for the past few days, so all the materials he had received had been refined by them. After experimenting again and again, they verified the gains they had made from observing Yang Kai's alchemy. In terms of alchemy, everyone found that they had made significant progress. Whether it was in terms of time consumed or the quality of the pills they refined, they had all made a significant improvement. Du Wan was even confident that he could refine a mid-rank saint-grade pill. If he could really succeed, it would mean that he had truly set foot in the territory of a mid-rank saint-grade alchemist. Observing Yang Kai's alchemy for a few months had brought them greater gains than decades of research, causing the 5 grandmasters to be overjoyed. These past few days, they had spared no effort in alchemy, refining 20 pills a day without missing a single one. However, the 5 of them had worked together to refine 20 pills while Yang Kai could do it alone. In this regard, they had no choice but to concede defeat, feeling that they couldn't compare with an alchemist with a conflagrated knowledge sea. But it's a shame that in these past few days, the 5 of us have more or less failed, wasting a lot of good materials, Du Wan said with slight regret. Alchemists not only valued pills as much as their own lives, but also precious herbs. They would never waste a single one, and every time they failed in refining, they would feel extremely distressed. Yang Kai, on the other hand, had never failed in his alchemy. It doesn't matter, in any case, the Holy Land is now rich in materials, so it's not like we can't afford to compensate. Yang Kai grinned, it's fine as long as several grandmasters have a harvest. Ian, since you're back, we wanted to discuss something with you. Du Wan smiled slightly. If several grandmasters have any instructions, please don't hesitate to ask. Can you increase the number of pills you refine every day? You'll still refine 20 pills a day and the rest will be left for the 5 of us to refine. This way, we'll be able to observe your technique while verifying our harvest. En. He Feng nodded heavily. This is a rare opportunity. Us old fogies plan to stay here for the time being. I'm afraid you'll think the 5 of us are stupid. Chang Bao grinned. I wouldn't dare. Yang Kai hesitated for a moment before saying, it just so happens that I have some matters to attend to and need to go out for a while. If you think it's all right, I'll leave the 20 pills per day to you. Oh. Du Wan raised his brow. You're going out again? Where are you going this time? Inside the monster race territory. The monster race great senior is looking for me, Yang Kai replied truthfully. The 5 grandmasters exchanged a glance, but although they were a little shocked, they didn't ask any questions. On the contrary, they were very relieved that Yang Kai had told them the truth. Then you'll have to come back quickly. If we can't observe your technique while we're here, wouldn't all our efforts be in vain? Chang Bao joked. It doesn't matter, I need some time to consolidate the gains I've made over the past few months. Kong Ruo Yu smiled, I can't wait for that. You don't need to listen to him, go do your own thing and come back when you're done. But you must be careful, after all, the monster race is the monster race. Du Wan solemnly exhorted. Then I'll have to trouble you all here. Yang Kai cupped his fists and hurried away. He was still thinking about what to do with the alchemy if he left. If the 5 grandmasters didn't help, he could only rest for a while. But the 5 grandmasters taking the initiative to ask for help was exactly what Yang Kai wanted. After finding Shu Hui and exhorting him a few words, Yang Kai returned to the mountain peak and, under the leadership of Cai Dai, he and Li Rong headed towards Thunder Tree Palace. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.